Chapter 1952. No wonder you don't have a boyfriend at your age. You don't even know this common sense. Qi Ning, let me tell you, the belt is meant to tie the man down for the rest of his life. Ha! Tie him down for the rest of his life. Qi Ning was dumbfounded. What's with that expression? Pudding was speechless. My dear niece, is it really okay for you to give Suyu a belt? It's a gift from your boyfriend. He's an elder, isn't it awkward for you to tie him down for the rest of his life? The whole world knows I like handsome Su. But I'm too young. When I grow up, handsome Su will be old. When he was born, I wasn't born, when I was born, he was already old. Pudding even pulled out 2 lines from an ancient poem. Qi Ning was ashamed of herself. Her niece was only 3 years old but was already a master at flirting. Yeah, age is a big problem, so you should give up on this idea. No, handsome Su is a good man, I can't give him up. Although I'm young and not the right age, there's someone in my family who's suitable for him. If I bring him to my family, I'll tie him down for the rest of his life. Are you talking about me? Qi Ning had a bad feeling about this. It's you. You're finally enlightened, aw. Qin Zhao Zhao, don't be so stubborn, okay? I told you, Suyu and I aren't suitable for each other. What are you talking about? Don't be so stubborn. Besides, Suyu isn't my cup of tea. You don't even know him, so you're saying he's not your cup of tea. You're insincere. Pudding pouted. Qi Ning, Pudding, you can't joke about this. Even Yu Lao can't just randomly pull strings, right? Pudding ignored Qi Ning and video called her. Hi, handsome Su. Hi, Pudding. Good girl, I sent you Little Bean's phone number and you knew it was me. Pudding smiled sweetly. Of course. Your Uncle Su isn't that stupid. What are you doing? I just went out to talk to someone and went back to the company. What about you? I went out with my sister, still in L.A. Suyu asked with a smile. Pudding nodded. Is L.A. fun? It's fun, and Auntie and second grandpa treat us very well. As long as you're happy. Did you miss me? Pudding whined. Of course I do. I think about it every day and look forward to it every day. When will you be back? Soon. Daddy and Mommy are coming to Los Angeles to pick us up tonight. The day after tomorrow, we'll go back to Grandpa's house for one more night before leaving. Soon. When you guys come back, I'll treat you guys to a big meal. Suyut smiled at Pudding. But I still have a small wish. Can you promise me? Sure. Suyu would grant any request. He didn't even ask for anything. The extent to which he doted on the twins was second only to their biological father, Qin Chu. I want little aunt to come back to China with us for a while, but she won't. Help me persuade her. Pudding pointed the camera at Qi Ning. Qi Ning felt extremely awkward. Her eyes were red from crying and she washed her face. She really didn't have any makeup on. She wasn't pretty at all, okay? Suyu was also caught off guard. Hi. He could only awkwardly greet Qi Ning. Qi Ning smiled awkwardly. Hi. If you're not busy, you can come back with them. I can see that they really like you. Hearing Pudding's words, Suyu really did try to persuade Qi Ning. Qi Ning felt even more awkward. Chapter 1953. Oh, I have something to do, so I don't have time to go back. Qi Ning replied softly. Auntie, are you really going to embarrass handsome Su? Pudding began to argue with Qi Ning. No, it has nothing to do with pride. You little brat. Don't cause trouble, okay? Did you mean what you said to me before? What? Qi Ning was surprised. About how handsome Sue is. Pudding said innocently. Ahem. Pudding, can you not say that? Qi Ning coughed violently and didn't even dare to look at Su Yu. Don't be shy, Auntie. You're both adults, I understand. What do you understand? Qin Zhao Zhao, if you keep acting like this, I'll really have to talk to your mommy. Hearing Qi Ning's words, Pudding immediately became obedient. Handsome Sue, that's all. See you later. Okay, remember to come back soon. Your grandpa misses you. Su Yu's eyes were filled with gentleness. After hanging up the video call, Qi Ning immediately picked up Pudding and pressed her down on the bed. Pudding, why did you set me up again? It's so embarrassing. Do you know how embarrassed I was just now? My eyes were red without makeup. Su Yu must have been scared to death. No, you're beautiful. Auntie, you have to be confident. Come on, don't try to get away with it. When your mommy comes back, you can tell her. Hearing Qi Ning bring up this topic again, Pudding immediately gave in. He immediately admitted defeat. Little auntie, we were indeed in the wrong this time. So we sincerely apologize to you. Pudding looked pitiful. You think you can just apologize? You two almost scared me and your grandpa to death. But we didn't go out to play. We did it for handsome Sue's present. Auntie, can you not tell mommy? We won't do it again. No, I have to teach you a lesson. Qi Ning was determined. Mommy knows we'll be miserable. Last time when I made a mistake, she locked me up. It was dark and damp in my little warehouse. I was scared. Auntie, please. Don't make a fuss, okay? Pudding held Qi Ning's hand with tears in her eyes. Swaying left and right, sure enough, Qi Ning was shaken. Auntie, I know you're really worried about us. That's why you're angry and worried. We promise that we won't let you worry about us in the future, okay? But the situation this time is extremely bad, that's why we apologize. Auntie, didn't you make any mistakes when you were young? We are still children, isn't it normal to be naughty? Auntie, you can't expect too much from us. Besides, every time mommy scolds us, she doesn't feel good either. This time, we came on vacation to have fun. If the whole family is unhappy because of this, then the gains do not make up for the losses. We won't come again in the future. Pudding pouted. Alright, you little vixen, you've successfully brainwashed me. I won't say anything, but I don't know if your second grandpa will tell anyone. Don't worry, Little Bean will handle second grandpa. Pudding smiled. Qi Ning, little brat, you're amazing. You're so scheming at such a young age. TSK, let's see who dares to marry you when you grow up. You should worry about yourself, Auntie. After all, you're already so big. Then Pudding skipped down the stairs. Qi Ning was left behind with an unconvinced look on her face. That night, Qin Chu and Huamin flew to Los Angeles. Hello, second uncle. Huamin smiled and greeted Qin Chu's second uncle as soon as he walked in. I haven't seen you for a few years and you're still the same, you haven't changed at all. Qin Chu's second uncle exclaimed. Second uncle, where are my daughters? Qin Chu was worried about his daughters. He looked around but didn't see the twins. Chapter 1954. She's upstairs watching cartoons with Qin Ning. Qin Chu's uncle heaved a sigh of relief. He was glad that the twins were fine. Otherwise, how would he explain this to his nephew and niece-in-law? Mian, talk to my uncle first. There are many things you don't know about the company that you can ask. I've been at the headquarters for a long time. I know a lot more than our dad. Okay, I won't stand on ceremony. Huamin replied with a smile. Towards Qin Chu's uncle, Huamin respected him as much as his parents-in-law. The Qin family was indeed suitable for business. In their generation, the two old men were very active in the business world. In this generation, Qin Ning and Qin Chu were also leaders in the financial world and were doing very well. Huamin had always thought that he wasn't suitable for business because he didn't like to socialize. Being a doctor was better. He just needed to focus on treating people. But now, Mian, you've been managing the company well these past few years. You have a good business mind. Uncle, you overestimate me. I don't know much. It's just that my dad and my husband have everything planned out, so I can just follow their instructions. Also, my assistants are very good. I really didn't do it alone. Don't be modest with me. Chu told me that you're talented and smart. No matter what you learn faster than ordinary people. I'm really happy that the Qin family has such an outstanding niece-in-law like you. I'm going to retire soon. You and Chu have to take care of Ning Ning in the future, Uncle. Ning Ning is very good. She's very good. She's been listening to board meetings since she was 13. She knows more than me. I should be the one learning from her. Huamin was very humble. No matter how good Ning Ning is, she's still young. Compared to you guys, she's impatient and doesn't have the calmness and composure. She has to learn from you, there's no rush. Take it slow. Huamin smiled. If you have any objections about the company, you can ask me. Qin Chu's uncle was a workaholic. He would talk about work whenever he didn't like it. Huamin had a lot of things that he didn't understand, so he didn't beat around the bush and directly talked about business with his uncle. At this very moment in the small cinema upstairs, Qin Ning was watching an English cartoon with the twins. When Qin Chu went up, they were watching with great interest. Wow! Sis, look at that. It's so pretty. Little Bean danced around. Pudding's face remained calm. Babies, do you like it? Qin Chu walked over and asked with a smile. Wow, Daddy, you're back. Little Bean's reaction was big. She rushed over and hugged Qin Chu. Qin Chu squatted down and Little Bean hugged his neck tightly. Daddy, I missed you so much. Little Bean kissed Qin Chu's handsome left cheek. Qin Ning and Pudding were dumbfounded. He really is a bootlicker. Qin Ning sighed. I didn't wrong her, did I? Look, she's always so hypocritical. Pudding looked at Little Bean proudly. What hypocrisy. Sis, you shouldn't have said that. I really love Daddy. Little Bean refused to admit defeat. Qin Chu smiled and let go of Little Bean. He waved at Pudding and said, Pudding, come here and let Daddy hug you. To his surprise, Pudding crossed her arms and looked down at her father who was squatting down. She said word by word, Let's not, Daddy. I'm not a child. Don't hug me all the time. Isn't that good? Qin Chu, Qin Ning, ha 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 ha, big brother, you're so pitiful. You're despised by your own daughter. Chapter 1955. Little Bean said, Daddy, don't listen to her nonsense. She's just pretending to be cold. Let's ignore her. Let's go. I just found a really good tiramisu. I'll take you to try it. Just like that, Qin Chu followed Little Bean downstairs to the pantry to eat cake. Little Bean finally found a good excuse for her gluttony. In the small theater upstairs, only Qin Ning and Pudding were left sitting side by side. Pudding, you're not likable. If you don't cry, you won't get any candy. Actually, you should learn from Little Bean. It's good that you can act like a spoiled child. Actually, Qi Ning said slowly. Auntie, we're all born as individuals. We don't depend on each other and naturally, we don't imitate each other. Little Bean is kind by nature and likes to be in a daze and act cute. This is her personality advantage. I can't learn it and I don't want to learn it. I'm naturally calm and collected. I think this is good. But aren't you afraid that your mommy and daddy will love Little Bean more? After all, she knows how to coax people. Qi Ning deliberately teased her. No, Pudding answered very decisively. Why? It's because we're both daddy and mommy's daughters. They love us equally. Mommy carried us for 10 months and gave birth to us. We're also related to daddy by blood. This is a bond that can never be severed. Even if I'm calm, cold, and arrogant, daddy and mommy still love me equally. I believe that's the case. When Pudding said this, she was full of confidence. She was no longer a little girl. She had transformed into a domineering big sister in minutes. Qi Ning admired her little niece to death. Pudding, you're really not like a 3-year-old child. I even thought that you were reborn or had traveled back in time from ancient times. You're like a demon. Although Qi Ning knew that Pudding was smart and mature, she felt that even an ordinary adult wouldn't be able to understand what she said, let alone a 3-year-old child. Hearing Qi Ning's words, Pudding turned her head and glanced at her auntie's face. Auntie, have you watched too many novels and dramas? Qi Ning, that's not good. It will lower your IQ. Be good, then, Pudding patted Qi Ning's shoulder and said in a serious tone before she turned and went downstairs. Qi Ning was left dumbfounded. That night, Qin Chu's second uncle ordered the kitchen to prepare a very sumptuous Chinese meal. The whole family gathered together to eat dinner. When are you going back? Qi Ning's father asked, looking at Qin Chu and Huamin. I'll go back to my parents' place tomorrow morning and stay there for 1 more day. After that, I'll go back to China. So soon, big brother, stay a little longer, Qi Ning said reluctantly. Yes, it's rare for your whole family to come back. My brother and sister-in-law love children so much. They must be reluctant to part with you. Second uncle. Mian and I still have a lot of things to take care of, so we can't stay here for too long. There will be plenty of opportunities. We'll come here twice a year, don't worry. Actually, I think you should consider leaving the children here to go to school. Qin Chu's second uncle suggested. School. Qin Chu was slightly surprised. Yes, the education here is the best in the world. The twins can go to kindergarten and elementary school here and then go to a prestigious university, such as Oxford or Stanford. Wouldn't that be great? Otherwise, they'll have to go abroad in the future. Second uncle, but they're still too young. They're only 3 years old. Qin Chu looked down at his daughters, who were eating. Chapter 1956. Yeah, they're too young. We can't bear to let them go. Huamin smiled. Dad, you're too much. They're only 3 years old and you want my brother and sister-in-law to keep them. Who would be willing to do that? Qi Ning thought her father's suggestion was ridiculous. So what? They're very independent. You don't have to worry about them at all. They can even go out on their own. Qin Chu's uncle accidentally let it slip. Huamin immediately understood what was going on. He frowned slightly. Go out on their own. The twins' expressions changed and they immediately turned to Qi Ning for help. Qi Ning didn't want her nieces to leave, so she quickly tried to smooth things over. Oh, it's like this. This morning, they wanted to go out and play. I had something to talk to them about, so I only asked the bodyguards to follow them. I only went to pick them up after I finished talking. You only asked the bodyguards to look after my daughters? Qin Ning, what were you thinking? Qin Chu was unhappy. Qin Chu's uncle immediately realized his slip of the tongue and didn't dare to say anything else. I had no choice. It was a work emergency, so it's fine with the bodyguards following them. Honey, don't be too nervous. Huamin smiled and comforted Qin Chu. Little girl, you liar. I'll teach you a lesson later. Qin Chu pointed at Qin Ning with his chopsticks. Qin Ning stuck out her tongue and didn't say anything else. The twins secretly gave Qin Ning a thumbs up, meaning, Auntie, you did a great job. After dinner, Qin Chu and Huamian sat in the living room with Qin Chu to watch financial advice and discuss the global economy. Qin Ning took the twins upstairs to take a shower. As soon as they entered the bathroom, Qin Ning squatted down to fill the tub with water for the twins. The two little guys stumbled over and stood on either side of Qin Ning. Then, each of them kissed Qin Ning's face. What? What are you doing? Kissing up to me. Qin Ning smiled at the twins. Little Bean, Auntie, you're so nice. Thank goodness you helped us out. Pudding, I'm sorry that you got scolded by Daddy. Oh, it's okay. I love you guys so much that it's okay to be scolded. It's not like it's the first time I've been scolded by your daddy. What's one more time? Qin Ning pinched their cheeks. Anyways, if we let it slip, I'm sure we'll be in big trouble. I noticed that Mommy's face changed when she heard that we went out alone. I was so scared. Little Bean was still in shock as she recalled the scene from before. So you know fear too. Qin Ning laughed heartily. Of course. My mommy is actually very scary. When she's angry, my daddy is scared out of his wits, Pudding added. That's true. It's scary when someone who doesn't seem to have a temper normally gets angry. Sister-in-law always looks like she's smiling and calm, but when she gets angry, it's scary when the sky falls and the earth shatters. That's right. Pudding gave her a thumbs up and praised her auntie's wit again. Alright, cut the crap. Hurry up and come in to take a shower. After the bath water was ready, Qin Ning helped them take off their clothes and carefully carried them into the bathroom. Thank you for taking care of us these past few days, Auntie. When I go back, I'll definitely buy some local specialties and send them to you. Little Bean would definitely use food to express her gratitude. Okay. I'll wait for your specialties. Just don't get me a basket of potatoes. Qin Ning laughed. I won't. After all, international delivery is so expensive. Little Bean pouted. Auntie, I still hope that you can find a chance to come back to China and stay for a while. Pudding was still thinking about her auntie and Su Yu and kept asking her to come back. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Hurry up and take a shower. Oh, you guys are leaving tomorrow and my vacation is over. I'm so sad. I don't want to go to work anymore, Qin Ning complained. Downstairs, Huamin was chatting when he suddenly changed the topic and asked, Uncle, why did the kids go out alone this morning? Qin Ning's uncle's expression changed slightly when he heard this. He looked very unnatural. Chapter 1957. Oh, nothing. Qin Chu tried to cover it up. Uncle, you can't hide it from us. Just tell us the truth so we don't think too much. Qin Chu looked at Qin Chu and said slowly. It turned out that Huamian became suspicious when her second uncle let it slip at the dinner table. Although Qin Ning tried to smooth things over, Huamin obviously didn't believe her. After spending a few days with Qin Ning, Huamin had a general understanding of her. She was willing to take time off to eat and play with the twins every day. How could she let the kids go out with her bodyguards because of work? There was definitely something fishy going on. Qin Chu and Huamin weren't ordinary people. They were very observant. Seeing that they had all spoken openly, second uncle could only tell the truth. After he told them the whole story, Qin Chu and Huamian's expressions turned serious. I didn't think they'd do something like this, Qin Chu said in a low voice. Huamin bit his lip and didn't say anything. Honey, are you okay? Qin Chu could tell that Huamian wasn't in a good mood, so he put his arm around her shoulders. I'm fine. It's getting late. Let's go back to our room. Then, Huamin and Qin Chu got up. Huamin didn't go back to their room. Instead, he went straight to the bathroom. The two babies were taking a bubble bath inside. Mommy, you're so rude. Why didn't you knock? Little Bean pouted. Are they done? Huamin asked patiently. Almost. What's wrong? Qin Ning turned around. Nothing. Your brother and I missed the kids. After they're done, let them go to our room. Okay, no problem. I'll take them there in a bit. Qin Ning smiled. Huamin glanced at his daughters, closed the bathroom door, and left. Sis, why aren't you saying anything? What are you daydreaming about? Little Bean patted Pudding's shoulder with her chubby little hand. Why do I feel like there's something wrong with Mommy? Pudding was worried. Gosh, you sure like to overthink things. No wonder Mommy always says you worry too much. Can you be more confident? You're not like our Scorpio at all. You're not cool at all. Little Bean complained. Yeah, you're both Scorpio. No wonder you're so black-bellied. Qin Ning suddenly thought of their constellations. By the way, Auntie, what's your horoscope? Little Bean asked. I'm an Aries girl, Qin Ning replied. Ha 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 ha. You're a big white sheep. No wonder. Little Bean burst into laughter. No wonder what? Qin Ning was confused. She didn't know what was so funny about her niece. Sis, can you tell her what's special about Aries? Little Bean poked Pudding. Pudding finally came back to her senses. She glanced at her auntie and said, I heard that Aries girls have bad tempers and are easily impulsive. You're right. I have a bad temper. I even argued with your second grandpa during the board meeting because of work. I have to tell the difference between right and wrong. Even my own father can't help me. Qin Ning nodded. Aries people are actually very kind. Being impatient is just a characteristic of their personality. They explode when lit, Pudding explained. Mine. Explode when lit. Qin Ning was speechless. At this moment, Little Bean couldn't help but interrupt. Sis, you didn't get to the point. You didn't even say what Aries people like. Pudding, I think it's better not to. She won't be able to take it. Then, what's Aries people like? Hearing Pudding's words, Qin Ning looked at Little Bean curiously. Chapter 1958. Ha 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 during the day, and we'll do it at night. Qin Ning, Qin Mumu, what nonsense are you talking about? Qin Ning was so angry that her face turned red. To be honest. Little auntie, don't you know that Aries is very in love with, inside? What? Qin Ning was about to break down. Forget it, you don't even have a boyfriend, so you probably won't understand even if I tell you. Little Bean lowered her head and continued to rub her chubby cheeks. Qin Ning, okay, Little Bean, don't bully Auntie, she's still young. Pudding turned her head and said. Okay, let's go wash up. We have to greet the Emperor and Empress later. I wonder if they're having fun in New Orleans, Little Bean and Pudding said calmly. Qi Ning felt like she was going crazy because of her nieces. Just one constellation could cause such a big earthquake. Oh my God, if she continued to live with them, she would become a puppy. She would be turned into a fujoshi. She would be as dirty as she wanted to be. Auntie, read more magazines when you're free. Otherwise, when you have a boyfriend, he'll think you're boring. Good luck. Before she left, Little Bean reminded Qi Ning with a heavy tone. Qi Ning felt like she was struck by lightning. Crack. She wasn't prepared for it at all. Little Bean, I'm going to tell your mommy that you're so dirty. Qi Ning roared behind her. Calm down, my mommy's used to it. You're the only one who's making a fuss. Little Bean whistled and followed closely behind her sister to her parents' room. Ha! Sis, what's on your mind? Pudding walked slowly with her head down. Little Bean was curious. I still feel like Mommy's not in the right mood. I feel like something's going to happen. She's very nervous, Pudding replied nervously. Pfft, you're thinking too much. Move, I'll walk in front. If anything happens, I'll cover you and you can run. With that, Little Bean quickly ran in front of her sister. The two of them walked to the door and politely knocked on it. Come in. Hua Min's crisp voice came from inside. Mommy, we're here. Little Bean smiled coquettishly as soon as she walked in. Pudding followed her sister cautiously. Qin Chu and Hua Min were sitting on the sofa in the bedroom, wearing bathrobes. It was obvious that they had also taken a shower. However, Pudding was even more worried when she saw her parents sitting in a row. You two, come here. Hua Min beckoned with his finger, his face expressionless. The twins didn't understand what he meant, so they slowly walked over. Pudding cleverly glanced at her daddy's face and found that his eyes were a little serious. Mommy, why are you looking for us? Pudding asked tentatively. Both of you, stretch out your hands first. Hua Min said faintly. Mommy, do you have a gift for us? Wow. I knew you and Daddy wouldn't forget about us when you go to New Orleans. Did Uncle Rick buy them for us? Are they food or toys? Little Bean looked very excited. Pudding, on the other hand, was worried. However, the two children still obediently followed Hua Min's instructions. Just as they stretched out their chubby little hands, Hua Min pulled out a ruler from behind him. Paw! 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 The ruler hit their palms twice. Instantly, the twins were stunned. Mommy, why did you hit us? Little Bean was dumbfounded and felt wronged. Although Qin Chu felt bad, he decided not to interfere with his wife's education of the children. Mommy, you need a reason to hit us. Pudding looked up and stared at Hua Min, calmly saying. You want a reason, right? Very well, then let me ask you, whose idea was it to go out alone? Hua Min asked sternly. Chapter 1959. Hearing Hua Min's words, the twins immediately calmed down. They knew that they had been exposed and that they had underestimated their mommy's intelligence. Hua Min didn't fully believe Qin Ning's words. In the end, he learned the whole story from his uncle. The result was that Hua Min was furious and the consequences were severe. Don't look at each other. Look at me. Hua Min saw the twins secretly looking at each other as if they were trying to communicate with each other. They were trying to figure out how to deal with their mommy. So, who's going to answer my question? You went out alone without bodyguards, and you didn't let Grandpa and Auntie know about it. You even avoided all the surveillance cameras. You caused a huge commotion at home and scared everyone out of their wits. So, who was the one who came up with this idea? Hua Mian could no longer suppress the anger in her heart. and her voice was tinged with irritation. Yes, ever since she had the babies, she wasn't as calm as before. Because the baby would inadvertently do something that would drive you crazy. Honey, calm down. Lower your voice, don't scare them. Chin-Chu couldn't bear to see them like this. Looking at the two little girls with their heads lowered and their lips aggrievedly, Mr. Chin began to surrender. Honey, we agreed that you wouldn't interfere. Huamin tilted his head and glanced at Chin-Chu. Yes, I won't interfere. I'm just giving you a friendly reminder. I don't need your reminder. If you can't stand it, you can go out and I'll talk to them, Huamin suggested. Daddy, please don't go. Little Bean was so scared that she immediately begged Chin-Chu. She knew too well that with her daddy by her side, she would be emboldened and her sister's situation would be much better. If her daddy went out and they were left alone with their mommy, that would be really scary. I won't go. Chin-Chu looked at his daughters with heartache. Pudding was struggling internally. She knew that if she admitted it, she would face her mommy's wrath. This time, it would be worse than the time when she smashed the phone, so the punishment would be crueler. No matter how calm and collected she was still a child, so she would still be afraid. Why aren't you talking? Are you scared? Huamin asked coldly. The twins still lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. You have 5 seconds to answer my question. Otherwise, I'll take it that it was your idea and both of you will be punished. Huamin said and started counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, Mommy, it was my idea. Hearing this, Chin-Chu froze for a second, and so did Huamian. Because it was Little Bean who spoke. Pudding also looked at her sister in surprise. She didn't expect her sister to do this. Little Bean, was this your idea? Huamin repeated. Little Bean placed her hands behind her back nervously. She rubbed her hands vigorously. It was obvious that she was very nervous. But she still looked up and said confidently, it was my idea, Mommy. This isn't like you. Huamin looked at his daughter meaningfully. She knew their personalities too well. Little Bean didn't have any ideas. Most of the time, she followed her sister's footsteps. She would agree to go wherever Pudding wanted to go. Other than being strict about what to eat, Little Bean didn't interfere too much. Obviously, Huamin didn't believe her. Pudding was a bit anxious and said, Mommy, Little Bean is wrong. This matter is actually. Chapter 1960. Sis, stop talking. Let's just tell Mommy the truth. I know you want to take care of me because you're my sister, but I have to take responsibility for what I did. I'll just admit it to Mommy. Little Bean looked at Pudding and said slowly. But. Pudding seemed to have something else to say. No buts. This is the truth. Little Bean was determined and took the blame. Why did you do that? Don't you know it's dangerous to go out alone? Huamin asked. I thought we'd be fine in the States. After all, those bad guys are in China. Little Bean remembered what her sister said to her before. Nonsense. Do bad guys know where to go? Do you think they won't come here? Do you know how second Grandpa and Auntie would face us if something happened to you? They must be under a lot of pressure. You disappeared for 4 hours and made second Grandpa call the LAPD. You two are too much. The twins lowered their heads and didn't say anything. I've always thought that you two are friendly children. Even if you're occasionally willful, it's still a child's nature. I can understand and accept it. But this time, I can't agree with and accept your actions. Because, you two are selfish. You don't care about other people's feelings. You only think about your own happiness. It's only because your freedom is restricted in the country that you think it's fun and whimsical that you did such a ridiculous thing. Mommy, we're fine, aren't we? Pudding argued. Shut up. Don't tell me you're fine. You're just lucky. If something happened, what would happen to your daddy and me? What would happen to Grandpa and Grandma? What would happen to Uncle Sue? Huamin sounded agitated. Honey, don't be angry. Calm down. Chin Chu patted Huamin's back. He was heartbroken to see her so angry. However, on one side was his daughters and on the other side was his wife. Mommy, we know we're wrong. We're sorry. Little Bean was obedient and apologized immediately. Even if she didn't mean it, she would try to comfort her mother first. She didn't want to get beaten up. However, Pudding didn't accept it. She thought it was a good idea to buy Suyu a gift when they finally went out. Moreover, nothing happened to them. They were fluent in English, and the taxi ride was smooth. It was not as dangerous as Mommy had said. Of course, they were still young and didn't know that Hua Xiqian had always wanted to harm them. They also didn't know that a terrifying demon like Ian was eyeing their entire family. She only felt that her mommy was too nervous. Is it useful to know that you're wrong? If you cause trouble in the future, such as killing someone, do you think you will be forgiven just by apologizing? Don't you need to take responsibility? Huamin reprimanded with a black face. Honey, it's not that serious. Don't scare them. Chin Chu still couldn't bear it. It's that serious. If we don't teach them a lesson now, what will happen in the future? With that, Huamin raised the ferrule in his hand. Little Bean, Mommy will ask you one last time. This was your idea, wasn't it? Yes, it's me. Little Bean was determined to take the blame. Alright, then you have to accept the punishment. With that, Huamin grabbed Little Bean's hands. She started hitting them. From the sound of it, it was obvious that she used a lot of force. She hit each hand 5 times, a total of 10 times. The sound of the ferrule cracking made Chin Chu's heart clench. However, he didn't dare to plead for his daughters. Chapter 1961. Chin Chu knew that if one of them hit and the other spoiled the child, it would be ineffective. Therefore, Chin Chu turned his head away and didn't dare to look. Instantly, Little Bean's hands turned red. Maybe it was because of the pain, but her face turned red. However, she didn't cry this time. She just gritted her teeth and endured it. After the slap, before Huamin could say anything, Pudding burst into tears. She was very sad because she knew that her sister took the blame for her and got hit. It must have hurt a lot. Sis, don't cry. It doesn't hurt. Really, it doesn't hurt. Mommy didn't hit me hard. Little Bean forced a smile and her eyes turned into crescents. At this moment, Chin Chu's eyes were wet. Huamian almost burst into tears as well. In fact, Chin Chu and Huamin both knew it was Pudding's idea. They just didn't expect Little Bean to admit it. Even though Huamian knew it wasn't Little Bean, she still hit Little Bean hard to make Pudding suffer. Sisters were connected by heart. Plus, they were twins. Pudding seemed to be able to feel Little Bean's pain. Mommy, it wasn't Little Bean's idea. Pudding cried and said. But Little Bean walked over and covered her mouth. Mommy, it's over. We know we were wrong. So, can we go now? You can go. Pudding stays. Ha! I said it wasn't Little Bean. Mommy, why didn't you keep your promise? Little Bean was a little agitated. I didn't. Are you going to hit Little Bean? No, I won't hit her. You took all the hits for her. Huamin looked at Little Bean. Honey, take Little Bean out first. I have something to say to Pudding. Okay. Chin-Chu nodded and picked up Little Bean. Let's go. Daddy will put the ointment on you. Daddy, it doesn't hurt. Stay and help big sister. Little Bean was a little scared. Don't worry. If Mommy says I won't hit you, then I won't. Finally, Chin-Chu walked out of the door with Little Bean in his arms. Pudding was still crying with her head down. Her tears had already wet her floral dress. Her two neat braids were also a little loose, and she looked very disheveled. Little Bean, does it hurt? As soon as Chin-Chu carried Little Bean out of the door, he kissed her face lovingly. Tell me the truth. Little Bean looked at her daddy pitifully. Of course. Little Bean whispered into Chin-Chu's ear, it hurts a lot. Mommy hit me really hard. Then why aren't you crying? Because I'm afraid that if I cry, you'll feel bad. Little Bean said sensibly. Hearing this, Chin-Chu felt very uncomfortable. His daughter was only 3 years old. She only thought so much. Besides, Little Bean looked like a silly little girl who only knew how to flatter and act cute. No one would have thought that she would be so sensible and considerate of her sister. Little Bean, Daddy wants to ask you. This was your sister's idea. Why did you say it was you? Don't you know that you'll be beaten if you say it? Chin-Chu was also very curious. He wanted to know what Little Bean was thinking. I know. I'm mentally prepared. Little Bean nodded. Then why did you admit it for your sister? Because Mommy already punished her last time when she made a mistake. If I punish her again this time, I'm afraid she'll be sad, scared, and even traumatized. She'll think that Mommy doesn't love her. After Little Bean said this, Chin-Chu's tears fell down. He really couldn't control it. What about you? Won't you be scared, sad, or traumatized? Chin-Chu hugged his daughter tightly. I'm fine. My heart is bigger than my sister's. She's more introverted, so I'm a little worried. These are all superficial wounds. She'll be fine in a few days. Daddy, why are you crying? Don't cry. You won't be handsome if you cry. Little Bean wiped away Chin-Chu's tears as she spoke. It was very heartwarming. Inside the room, Hua-min looked at Little Bean with a heavy heart and said in a serious tone, Little Bean, don't you want to say something to Mommy? Chapter 1962. Mommy, it wasn't Pudding's idea. It was my idea, Pudding said between sobs. Really? Then why didn't you tell me when I asked you? Hua-min stared at Pudding and asked, word for word. That's because. Pudding bit her lip as if she couldn't bring herself to say it. Because you're scared. You're scared that you'll be punished for taking the blame. Pudding nodded. Then you didn't think that Pudding would take the blame for you and receive the same punishment. I didn't think that Pudding would say that, so I was very surprised. By the time I wanted to explain, it was too late. In the end, it's because you're scared that you don't dare to admit it. But Pudding, why didn't you feel scared when you got into trouble? Mommy, to be honest, I don't think I got into trouble. I went out for a reason, not because I wanted to have fun, I went out to buy gifts for. Before Pudding could finish, Hua-min angrily interrupted her. Shut up. I don't want to hear your excuses. No matter what the reason is, you're in the wrong. Your selfish behavior brought a lot of trouble to your aunt and grandpa. Luckily, nothing happened, or else, it would have been too late. Pudding, I always thought that you were the mature and stable one between the two of you, just like your daddy. But this time, you disappointed me. Your arrogance is only because you're willful, your princess syndrome, and your little temper. You don't have your daddy's sense of responsibility and responsibility. Your daddy always thinks about his family and mommy, but you always put yourself first. You even let Pudding take the blame for you. Pudding may seem like a little foodie and heartless, but when the time comes, she's more responsible than you are. She's mommy's daughter, not a coward like you. A troublemaker who makes trouble for her own sister. Mommy, I didn't want to do that. Pudding was very sad when she heard her mommy's harsh words, so she tried to explain herself. I know you understand everything, but you just won't listen to me. Are you trying to rebel now? No, Mommy, I just wanted to go out and buy gifts. I didn't think too much about it. I didn't know that second grandpa and little auntie were scared to death. If I knew they were in that state, I would never do that. Pudding, in this world, everyone has to be responsible for their mistakes. You can't let it go just because you said I was wrong and I apologized. It's not scary when people make mistakes, it's scary when they don't want to take responsibility. Actually, no matter how big the mistake is, as long as you're willing to admit it and atone for it, tomorrow will be a new day. I hope this time, you've really grown up and become more sensible. Seeing that little bean took a beating for you, I hope you can think things through. That's all, you can leave now. Mommy. Pudding seemed to want to say something to Huamin and kept crying. Get out. Huamin's tone was rather unfriendly. Pudding was crying as she walked out. Qin Ning knew that the twins were being interrogated and was so scared that she immediately came to save the situation. However, Pudding didn't say a word and kept walking back to her room with her head down. Qin Chu happened to run into Pudding, who was in a mess. Pudding, are you okay? Qin Ning was worried. Chapter 1963. It's okay, Auntie. Don't worry. Pudding held back her tears, opened the door, and slammed it shut. Pudding, open the door. I have something to talk to you about. Auntie, go to sleep. I'm tired. Pudding refused to open the door. Qin Ning had no choice but to go downstairs and watch as Qin Chu applied ointment on Pudding's hands. Oh my God, did your mommy hit you? Qin Ning exclaimed as she looked at Pudding's red and swollen hands. Pudding nodded with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Pudding. Your grandpa betrayed you by accident. I already taught him a lesson. Qin Ning was just complaining about her dad. How could he betray the two kids? Qin Chu's uncle looked helpless. Of course, he didn't want to, but his niece-in-law was too smart and couldn't be fooled. It's not Grandpa's fault. Mommy's so smart. These things can't be hidden from her. Pudding was very open-minded. Big brother, let me apply the ointment. Qin Ning squatted down. Qin Chu carefully applied the ointment on Pudding's hands. It's okay. I'll do it. When it came to taking care of his daughter, he didn't trust anyone but himself. Why don't you go check on Pudding? I think she's not in a good mood. She just went back to her room and cried. Pudding doesn't need to be comforted. She's introverted. She'll figure it out. Qin Chu wasn't worried about Pudding. Instead, he was worried about Pudding. The family stayed up until late. When Pudding was very sleepy, Qin Chu carried her upstairs. When he carried Pudding back, she was still awake. She sat alone in her room. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked like a little rabbit. Pudding, Qin Chu called. She turned her head. Your sister is asleep. She's hurt today. You have to take good care of her, okay? Qin Chu's voice was very gentle. Okay. Pudding nodded. Then you guys go to bed early. We're flying to Grandpa's house tomorrow. Okay, Daddy. Good girl. Qin Chu hugged Pudding, kissed her cheek, and turned to leave. Daddy, Chin-chu turned his head, his voice very soft. I'm sorry about what happened today, it's okay. You're Daddy's daughter. No matter what you do, Daddy will forgive you. Also, your mommy loves you very much. That's why she loves you so much. Don't blame her. Mommy's right, she's right. I was too stubborn. I almost got into trouble again and even made little sister suffer for me. Daddy, even I look down on myself. Mommy's right, I inherited your arrogance and calmness, but I didn't inherit your sense of responsibility and responsibility. This time, I've embarrassed Daddy. No, Daddy doesn't think so. Chin-chu comforted Pudding. I won't be so disobedient in the future. After returning home, I'll perform well and strive not to disappoint Mommy and Daddy. Pudding thought for a whole night and reflected a lot. She seemed to have made up her mind to perform well. This time, the fact that Little Bean got beaten up because of her was a huge blow to her. It made her accept many things. Okay, Daddy looks forward to your best performance. Then, Chin-chu walked out of the twins' room and returned to his own room. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Hua-min sitting on the bay window, wearing one of his loose white shirts. Her smooth and white thighs were exposed. She was very sexy and different from her usual style. Most importantly, she had a cigarette in her mouth. Every time Hua-min smoked, she was extremely depressed. Chin-chu understood. Honey, are you smoking again? Chin-chu walked over, pulled the cigarette out of her mouth, and pressed it into the ashtray. I suddenly feel like I'm a failure. Hua-min was a little depressed. Why would you say that? Chin-chu sat behind her and let her whole body lean against his chest. Chapter 1964. I just realized how much of a failure I am. As a daughter, I'm not good enough. I've been causing trouble for the family since I was a kid and I've never had a peaceful life. Luckily, Mom never really blamed me. Sometimes, Jishin even worries about me. As a wife, I'm not gentle and virtuous either. I don't understand you, I can't think for you, and I always cause trouble for you. As a daughter-in-law, I don't take care of my in-laws. As a mother, I'm even more of a failure. The twins have been mature since they were little, but I've been too busy with work to guide them. I always thought my daughters were good enough, but today, I realized that I've raised Pudding to be an egomaniac. She's even a little selfish, and Little Bean to be a glutton. They don't even know how to protect themselves. Honey, you can't say that. As a daughter, you've done so much for the family. You've worked hard and earned money to bring a stable life to your mother and brother. As a wife, you've always done so much for the family. Even when you were pregnant and had a child, you did it all by yourself. You've always had me in your heart. As a daughter-in-law, you've done so much for Mom and Dad. When I was in prison, you ran between the family and the company to comfort them. You worked so hard to give birth to a pair of cute granddaughters for them. As a mother, you've set enough examples. You can't expect too much from them because they're only 3 years old. Even if they're mature and smart, they're still very, very young. We have to guide them step by step, and we need a lot of patience. We can't deny them because of one mistake. Honey, do you think I'm being too unreasonable? No, I understand your uneasiness. Honey, you've worked too hard. Leave everything to me when you come back to China. You don't have to go to work anymore. So, are you going to fire me? Hua-min turned around and looked at Chin-chu pitifully. No, I'm going to give you a vacation. Spend a few days with the twins, and then what? Hua-min leaned into Chin-chu's arms and looked up at his almost perfect profile. And then you'll go back to work at Southside, right? Back to Southside. Huamin's jaw dropped in surprise. I've talked to President Wu, and Southside happens to be short-handed. If you go back, not only will you be reinstated as the chief physician of the Department of Neurology, but you'll also be the deputy director. Huamin, don't you think it's just right for me to be a CEO and you to be a doctor? I miss the old days, honey. Although we were busy, our lives were very fulfilling. Honey, you're the big boss of GK headquarters. Don't you think it's beneath you to come back to China to work? Huamin whined. No. Protecting my wife and child is my greatest happiness. Money and power have nothing to do with me. Qin Chu said it casually, but Huamin was very excited. Being a doctor was her greatest hobby. She never dared to think that she would be able to return to the hospital one day. What a wonderful experience that would be, but her husband had silently arranged everything for her. Honey, thank you. Thank you for always silently arranging everything for me. At this moment, Huamin was filled with happiness. With a husband like this, what else could she ask for in her life? Because you're Huamin, everything I do for you is worth it, just as Qin Chu said before. Because of the weight of the two words, Huamin, he was willing to do anything for her. The next morning, the family of 4 was ready to fly to Hawaii. Before they left, the twins and Qin Ning were reluctant to leave. Auntie, are you really not coming back to China with us? Pudding looked at Qin Ning sadly. Chapter 1965. Emicham, I'm not going back. Auntie still has a lot of work to do. Qin Ning smiled. Grandpa, are you bullying Auntie and giving her a lot of work? Little Bean looked at Grandpa Qin and said coquettishly. Hey, your auntie's status in the family is like an ancestor. She has the highest status in the family after you two. Do you think I dare to bully her? Qin Chu's uncle was speechless. Compared to work, the most important thing for a girl is to find a good man to marry. So, Auntie, you have to make marriage your top priority. Little Bean said seriously. Okay, you two sly little girls. My ears are going to grow calluses from your words. Hurry up and go. Don't talk too much. It's hard for a girl to find a boyfriend if she talks too much. Plus, you two are big scorpions, don't act like Virgos. Qin Ning smiled and squatted down to kiss her two nieces. After reluctantly saying goodbye to their auntie and grandpa, the two babies got into the car first. Uncle, you have to take care of yourself. Don't tire yourself out. You don't have to deal with the company yourself, just leave it to Ning Ning, Qin Chu said. I know. Your dad always tells me that at my age, it's time for me to retire. Qin Chu's uncle smiled. Sis-in-law. You have to bring the twins here often. I miss them so much. Qin Ning said with tears in her eyes. After a few days of being together, she really liked the twins. Now that they were leaving, she felt like she had been blinded. That feeling was really hard to bear. I will. Ning Ning, you can go back and play when you're not busy. Emicham, for sure. Maybe one day I'll fly over and find you guys. Ha. Qin Ning smiled and held back her tears. Qin Chu and Huamin got into the Bentley and watched the car drive away. Qin Ning couldn't help but cry. How old are you? Why are you crying? Qin Ning's father turned around and comforted his daughter. I miss my nieces so much. Qin Ning smiled with tears in her eyes. That night, the family of 4 went back to Hawaii to reunite with their grandparents. The next morning, the family of 4 flew back to China and stopped in Jing City. The long-distance flight was indeed very tiring. The twins were no longer as excited as they were at the beginning. Most of the time, other than eating and going to the bathroom, I slept. Chin-Chu took care of one adult and two children by himself, for fear that they would catch a cold if they slept in the air conditioner. Therefore, she didn't sleep much and had been taking care of the mother and daughters. Finally, the plane landed in Sea City. Hua Min stretched and straightened her body. Ah! I'm finally home. President Hua, how do you feel? Chin-Chu turned to look at her. It feels great to be home. Nothing is as good as home. Nothing is as good as home, Hua Mian exclaimed with a smile. Honey, you're too humble. If your South Hill Manor is a doghouse, how are other people going to live? They can't even live in a doghouse. Chin-Chu teased her. You're right, honey. What I mean is, nowhere is as good as home. Actually, now that I think about it, I miss our home in Imperial Park. That was our first house. Hua Min smiled sweetly. That's easy. We'll continue to buy houses and stay there for a few days occasionally, Chin-Chu suggested. Forget it, it's not just the two of us anymore, we have two more clowns. Hua Mian felt a heavy burden on her shoulders at the thought of the twins. So, President Hua, how was your trip this time? Do you have any thoughts? Chin-Chu massaged Hua Min's shoulders. I had a lot of fun, but there's one small regret, Hua Min pouted and said after thinking for a moment. Oh, you have a regret? Tell me. Chin-Chu was slightly surprised. Chapter 1966. Xiaoxue is in Chicago and I haven't visited her and the kids yet. It's a shame that she invited me twice and kept calling me. The problem is that we're in a rush. Mom and Dad don't want the kids to leave either. It seems like we'll have to stay longer next time. Don't worry. We'll visit the States more often. Chin-Chu patted the back of Hua Min's hand. Hua Min tilted his head and looked at the two kids sleeping like pigs on the first-class seats. Pudding tilted her head and drooled. She was even snoring like a pig. She was so cute. Chin-Chu was about to wake them up when Hua Min stopped him. Wait, honey. Don't wake them up yet. Why? I want to record a short video for them. Chin-Chu was speechless. You're cheating your kids, mommy. Chin-Chu was speechless. Hua Min took out his phone and recorded a short video for his daughters. He was already imagining how they would react when they saw him like this. After the plane landed, the crew announced that they were getting off the plane. Chin-Chu unbuckled his seatbelt and carefully woke the twins up. Babies, we're home. Wake up. Chin-Chu's voice was extremely gentle. Hua Min was jealous. Honey, you've never woken me up so gently. Yeah. I usually prove it to you with my actions. Chin-Chu smiled. Hua Min immediately blushed. You're acting like a pervert in broad daylight again. Hurry up and wake the babies up. The first thing we need to do when we get home is jet lag. It's so painful. Chin-Chu reminded him. Hua Min walked over and the bodyguards helped him push a lot of luggage. Hua Min and Chin-Chu each carried the kids out of the airport. Daddy, are we home? Pudding opened her eyes and asked sleepily. Yeah. Are you happy? I'm happy. Why? Chin-Chu asked with a smile. Because I can see handsome Sue. Little Bean didn't lie at all. Chin-Chu was speechless. Okay. It seemed like her father was used to his daughter being obsessed with Suyu. Hua Min held Little Bean in his arms and looked at the doll's hand with heartache. Although it was much better, there were still some marks left by the ferrule. Little Bean, does it still hurt? It doesn't hurt. Really? Really? Don't worry, Mommy. I'm Hercules. This little injury is nothing, then, do you hate Mom in your heart? Huamin bit her lip. Her heart was filled with guilt. No, I love Mommy as always. Even if Mommy hits you, you'll forgive Mommy, right? Huamin asked again and again like a child. That's right. Even if Mommy hits me, I'll still forgive Mommy because Mommy didn't want it to happen. We were disobedient. Mommy taught us how to be a good person, so I won't blame Mommy. Not only me, but Sis won't either. Good girl. Mommy knows. Thank you for your understanding. Hearing the gluttonous little bean say such words, Huamin was very touched. Suddenly, Little Bean said, Mommy, I want to pee. She suddenly felt like she couldn't hold it in. Huamin immediately put her down and looked around. The bathroom is over there. Mommy will take you there. Mommy, I want to go too. Pudding also wanted to pee and wanted to go. Chapter 1967. Chin Chu glanced at the bodyguards behind him. You guys go ahead and wait for us at the door. We'll take the kids to the washroom first. Okay, Mr. Chin. The bodyguards walked out of the door with their luggage. Chin Chu and Huamin held the twins' hands and went to the washroom. I'll wait for you guys at the door. Chin Chu stopped at the door of the women's washroom. Huamin nodded and walked in with the twins. The twins could take care of themselves and knew how to pee. After Huamin went in, he went to the washroom first and waited at the door. Because it was an airport, there were a lot of people. Mommy, I want to poop. Little Bean yelled, probably because she ate too much on the plane. Okay, take your time. Mommy's waiting for you at the door. When you're done, call Mommy and I'll go in and wipe your butt. Huamin smiled warmly. Okay, Mommy. Since Little Bean said she wanted to poop, Pudding didn't rush out. Huamin waited at the door inside while Chin Chu waited at the door outside. They were less than 3 meters away from each other. There were a lot of people going in and out of the washroom. However, there was only one exit, so Huamin didn't think too much about it. After he turned on his phone, he received a call from the company. Bella reported something urgent to Huamin. Huamin talked to Bella about work on the phone. Chin Chu was waiting for them at the door. He wasn't on his phone, but something caught his attention. A group of people was chasing after 2 people. The person running seemed to be a woman. She was wearing a black cashmere coat, a hat, and a mask. She ran very fast. The group of people behind her seemed to be reporters and fans. Fans chasing after their idols wasn't news in today's society. Chin Chu just looked at it and didn't think it was strange. However, the woman rushed into the washroom. Huamin couldn't stop them. The fans behind him also rushed in large batches. Huamin was so scared that he held his phone in a daze. What's going on? Huamin was dumbfounded. Why did you all come here? This is a dead end. There isn't even an exit. Miss Wen, we just want to interview you, please don't run away. The male reporters couldn't enter, so they blocked the door. Huamin was frightened by the crowd. He walked out and stood beside Chin Chu. Where's the child? She's inside. She said she wanted to poop. Huamin didn't think much of it. But after waiting for about 3 minutes, he still didn't come out. At this time, the crowd had already dispersed. The female celebrities, reporters, and fans had also left the restroom. Chin Chu was a little anxious. Honey, go in and take a look. Why haven't you come out yet? Yes. Huamin nodded and returned to the toilet. Little Bean, Pudding, are you done? Huamin asked. But there was no response. Little Bean. Pudding. Huamin was a little puzzled. He raised his voice and called out again. There was still no response. Now, Huamin was anxious. He rushed in and pushed open the door. Little Bean, Pudding. She anxiously pushed open all the doors, but there was no response. The children were missing for no reason. Pudding, Little Bean, answer me. Don't scare Mommy. Huamin was so scared that his face turned pale. Chin Chu heard the noise. He didn't care that it was the women's restroom and rushed in. Then, he grabbed Huamin's arm. Honey, what's wrong? Honey, the children are missing. Huamin was so anxious that his legs turned to jelly. How? Chin Chu was also confused. There was only one exit, and he didn't see the children go out. Chin Chu and Huamin had been guarding the door, but the children really were gone. Chapter 1968. They're really gone, honey. Huamin's voice began to tremble, and his mind went blank. In a moment of desperation, Chin Chu pushed open the bathroom door one by one. However, he found that the bathroom was empty. Little Bean, Pudding. Don't play hide-and-seek with Mommy and Daddy. Chin Chu called out tentatively. But it was still empty, and there was no response. Honey. Where do you think they're going? They shouldn't be. There's only one exit, and we've been at the door the whole time. If they came out, we would have noticed them. Huamin began to panic. Let's go and watch the surveillance video. Chin Chu was also anxious, but he was calmer than Huamin. He held Huamin's hand and hurried to the airport surveillance room. After they revealed their identities, the person in charge of the airport immediately hung up the surveillance video for them. Chin Chu and Huamin stared at the video, watching it over and over again. The twins really didn't come out. That was until, when that unknown celebrity entered, and a large number of reporters and fans rushed in as well. Things began to get strange. Wait. Rewind it. Chin Chu narrowed his eyes and stared at the screen. The staff rewound the video. Slow it down, thank you. Chin Chu stared at the screen and said coldly. After the video was slowed down, he noticed a detail. When the female celebrity in the woolen coat went in, she was empty-handed. When she came out, she had a big black travel bag in her hand. Because she was surrounded by people, no one noticed this detail. Go and find out who this female celebrity is. Chin Chu looked at the person in charge. The person in charge made a round of phone calls, and in the end, he replied blankly, Mr. Chin, I've checked, and there are no female celebrities in the airport today. What about entering the airport? No one. The person in charge replied. Chin Chu frowned slightly. That's strange. Could it be, this person isn't a celebrity? Maybe it's just a trap. Huamin felt a chill run down his spine. Honey, you mean, this is a premeditated kidnapping? Huamin's eyes widened. Hurry. Find out where they went. There should be surveillance video at the entrance. Find out which car they left in. Chin Chu anxiously gave out orders. When they saw the video outside, Chin and Huamin were dumbfounded again. The woman had left in a silver gray van, but the license plate of the van was clearly a fake one. Moreover, after the car started, it went on the road and no one knew where it went. No, I'm going to call Gao Ran and ask him to help me investigate the whereabouts of this car. Then lock down the entire city. We can't let them take the kids away. And Gao Ran and Hua's aunts. Huamin finally figured out that this was a premeditated kidnapping. Although there was only one exit in the washroom, the problem was that after those people went in, they blurred their vision. This lowered Chin Chu and Huamin's vigilance. After all, this was an airport, a public place. Who would have thought that they could do something to the twins here? When the woman went in, she had an empty bag with her. When she came out, the twins should have been in the bag. The children didn't make a sound from beginning to end. They must have been drugged or injected with needles. Huamin felt like she was going to break down. If anything happened to her daughters, she wouldn't be able to live anymore. Chapter 1969. She regretted not waiting for him in the washroom. Why did she have to be so impatient? Why did she call the company at that time? If only she was more vigilant, then she wouldn't have known that her children were kidnapped. She was still standing at the door like an idiot. Qin Chu was also anxiously calling Gao Ran. President Qin, you're back from your trip. Gao Ran was happy to receive Qin Chu's call and wanted to tease him. Listen to me, right now get me all the traffic cameras in the city. I want to find a silver van with a license plate number A65288. It's driving out of the airport. Also, immediately order the city to be locked down. We can't let this van out. Bro, what's going on? You. Gao Ran was dumbfounded. My daughters have been kidnapped. What? Gao Ran was completely dumbfounded. Didn't you guys just come back from the States? Gao Ran was surprised. Yes, it happened at the airport. When? Just now. Qin Chu's voice sounded depressed. Okay, I'll look into it right away. Don't worry, you have to calm down. I know. Qin Chu nodded. Is Huamin okay? Gao Ran was worried. Because his mother was the one with the worst tolerance, Qin Chu turned around and his expression changed. Huamin was on the verge of fainting. Qin Chu immediately hung up the phone and rushed over to help her up. Huamin's vision turned black and she fainted. Qin Chu was busy driving Huamin to the hospital. He also had to communicate with Gao Ran about tracking down the kidnappers. He was mentally and physically exhausted. At the headquarters of Imperial Star, Suyu knew that today was the day that the twins were coming back because he had video calls with them every day. He had been thinking about them all this time. He even wanted to wait for them to return home and immediately pick them up for dinner. This was something that Grandpa had personally instructed him to do. After not seeing the twins for so long, the Su family couldn't take it anymore. But he didn't receive any news. Suyu couldn't sit still and send a WeChat message to Pudding. Baby, are you home yet? There was no response for a long time. In the end, Suyu sent Huamin a WeChat message, feeling a little embarrassed. Are you home yet? I want to bring the children home for dinner later. My parents and Grandpa miss them very much. After sending the WeChat message, Suyu waited for a long time, but there was still no reply. Suddenly, he felt that something was wrong. It was fine if the twins didn't reply, but Huamin shouldn't have. She was a very efficient person. If she saw the WeChat message, she would definitely reply immediately. After another 10 minutes, Suyu couldn't take it anymore and called her. Qin Chu had just finished taking care of Huamin and was talking to the doctor. Then, he received a call from Suyu because he had Huamin's phone. When he saw that it was Suyu calling, Qin Chu hesitated for a moment and then picked up the phone. Hello. When he heard that it was Qin Chu, Suyu felt a little awkward. Qin Chu. Suyu wasn't sure. It's me. Where's Huamin? She's at the hospital. At the hospital? What happened to her? She fainted. Why would she do that all of a sudden? Didn't you guys just come back from the States? Suyu panicked. Yes. Then why? Is she not feeling well? Is she too tired? Suyu asked with concern. Suyu, my daughters are missing, Qin Chu explained word by word. He knew that Suyu loved the twins very much, so he felt that it was necessary to tell him the situation. What did you say? Suyu's mind went blank. When we arrived at the airport, the kids went to the washroom and were set up. The twins were kidnapped. I'm looking for them right now. Mian couldn't take it and just fainted. Chin-Chu's voice was very heavy. Kidnapped? Are you sure they're not hiding and playing with you? Suyu stood up with a whoosh, his expression changing. Chapter 1970. No, I watched the surveillance footage. This kidnapping was premeditated. Where are you now? The first hospital. Wait for me, I'll be there soon. Suyu picked up the phone and sped away in his Lamborghini. Beside Suyu was the silent and, 15 minutes later, Suyu arrived at the first hospital. What's going on? Suyu ran upstairs, panting. Before Chin-Chu could speak, he asked in a panic. Chin-Chu explained the situation to Suyu briefly. His entire person instantly became unwell. Fuck. Who dares to touch the twins? If I catch them, I'll chop them into pieces, Suyu cursed. I've already ordered them to investigate. I'm sure we'll have news soon. Chin-Chu was also waiting patiently. Just then, his phone rang. It was Gao Ran again. Chu, come to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. What's wrong? The situation is a bit complicated right now. I'll tell you the details if you come. Gao Ran's tone was very serious. Okay. Chin-Chu hung up the phone and looked at Suyu. Can you do me a favor? What is it? Help me take care of Mian. When she wakes up, please comfort her. She's been devastated by the loss of the twins. She even lost the ability to think. I'm a bit worried about her condition. What about you? Suyu asked. I'll go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Gao Ran said the situation is a bit complicated. He's afraid it might involve confidential information, so it's not convenient for you to talk over the phone. Okay, then you go. Leave Huamin to me. Thank you. You're welcome, Chin-Chu. Suyu suddenly shouted. Chin-Chu turned around and looked at him quietly. Stay strong. Pudding and Little Bean will be fine. They'll be protected by God. Okay. Chin-Chu nodded heavily, then turned around and went downstairs. After Chin-Chu left, Suyu immediately ordered Shaoan, investigate this matter. Find out where the twins are at all costs. Once you discover their whereabouts, no matter what it takes, bring them back immediately. Kill whoever took them. Suyu was also crazy. He directly gave the order to kill. Yes, President Su. After receiving Suyu's order, and turned around and went downstairs to do something. Suyu walked into the VIP ward. Huamin was still unconscious. There was a needle on the back of his hand, and he was injected with a nutrient solution. His face looked very pale. When Suyu saw Huamin like this, he felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. Why do you have to go through so much? As a bystander, I can't bear to see you like this. God is so fucking unfair. Why do you have to set her up? Fuck. Suyu clenched his fists tightly. He wished he could lie here in place of Huamin. Huamin was a strong woman most of the time. She could do anything, be it a doctor or a president. Everything came easily to her. Nothing was too difficult for her. Now that she was lying here quietly without a sound, Suyu felt that everything was meaningless. Suyu sat quietly at the head of Huamin's bed. He pulled the corner of the blanket for her, afraid that she would be cold. Although the room was air-conditioned, he was still afraid. Mian, you have to hang in there. You're a fairy, so nothing can stop you. God gave you so much training so that you can reach perfection in your human cultivation. When you reach the end of your life, you can go back to heaven. So, you still have a long way to go. Pudding and Little Bean are so cute and smart, so they'll be fine. They'll wake up safe and sound. So, before that happens, nothing must happen to you. When he said this emotionally, Siyu couldn't help but hold Huamin's hand. Perhaps only in this way could he feel at ease and feel that she was close to him and hadn't gone far. When Qin Chu arrived at the Municipal Public Security Bureau, it took less than 10 minutes for him to speed. He even felt that every minute he was late or delayed, the girls would be in more danger. What did you find out? Qin Chu walked in and asked Gao Ran, panting. It's really troublesome. This time, do you know who came back? Gao Ran's expression was serious, and his eyebrows furrowed. Chapter 1971. Who is it? Qin Chu realized the severity of the situation. Hua Si is back. Hua Si. Qin Chu was slightly surprised. He hadn't heard this name in a long time. Back when the Hua family went bankrupt, Hua Siqian single-handedly took control of the Hua family and even forced out his adoptive mother, Jiang Hong. He used extremely cruel methods to kill Hua Zhenghai. Although the media didn't report this incident and the police didn't investigate, Qin Chu could still guess what was going on. Later on, Hua Min wanted to team up with Hua Siqian to take revenge on the Hua family. However, after seeing how miserable the Hua family was, Hua Min couldn't bear to see Hua Zhenghai anymore and even went to see him one last time. After that incident, Hua Yanyan, Hua Si, and his mother, Shen Jiani, were kicked out of the board of directors. Hua Yanyan didn't leave and lived a miserable life there. Hua Siqian didn't do anything to her and left her to fend for herself. Shen Jiani and her son fled abroad with their adulterer. They were never heard from again. A few years later, Hua Min got pregnant and gave birth to a 3-year-old baby. However, Hua Si suddenly came back. When did this happen? I checked the immigration records and he's been back for a long time. We didn't pay attention to this incident and overlooked it. I think he's been here for a long time and planned carefully before he did something to the children, Gao Ran said. Shen Jiani's husband came back too. Qin Chu's heart sank. He had a bad feeling about this. I'm not sure. Shen Jiani probably changed her name and I couldn't find it. Hua Si also changed his name. But there are fingerprints here. I compared them. If I didn't help you find the baby, I wouldn't have known that he came back. Are you sure he has something to do with this? Qin Chu asked solemnly. I'm not sure, but I've been a detective for so many years, and my instincts are very accurate. I've rarely guessed wrong. I think Hua Si came back with something big. I think he wants to take revenge on Hua Siqian and Hua Min. After all, he always thought that Hua Siqian and Hua Min conspired to frame him. That's why he wants to start with the twins. Are you sure he's still in the city? He's still here. There's no record of him leaving. Do you know which hotel he's in? Qin Chu clenched his fists tightly. If it really was Hua Si, then the baby would be in danger. He was definitely back for revenge. I don't know. There are no check-in records in the hotels, so he shouldn't be staying in a hotel. I guess he's hiding in some abandoned factories or slums. After all, the roads there are complicated, so it's easy to hide. Qin Chu remained silent after hearing what Hua Siqian said. Chu, don't worry. I'm going to say something unpleasant, but you should wait. Hua Si definitely didn't kidnap the twins just for them. I'm sure he wants to threaten you and Hua Min. So, I think you two will receive a threatening text or phone call soon. My daughters are missing, and now you're telling me to sit here and do nothing. Chin Chu was a little angry. Calm down, I'm not telling you to sit here and do nothing. What I'm saying is that we can wait for news. If Huasi really planned this, then he won't let you find him easily. Why don't you investigate how Huasi has been living abroad for the past few days? What's his background? Gao Ran suggested. No. I don't care about anything else. I want to find my daughters first. Hurry up and get all the surveillance cameras in the city. For the first time, Chin Chu lost his cool. At this moment, he was just a father who had lost his children. Pudding, little bean. Huamin woke up from a nightmare. He screamed with all his might, sweating profusely. Mian, calm down. Suyu held onto Huamin's arm tightly. He was afraid that she would drop the nutrition needle on his arm. I dreamed that the twins' faces were covered in blood and they were calling for their mommy. Huamin covered his face with his hands and began to cry. Suyu's heart ached for Huamian. Mian, calm down. I think the kids will be fine. They're our lucky stars. I'm sure they'll come back safe and sound. At an abandoned factory in the suburbs of Big Brothery, we've got the kids. What should we do with them? A few monkey-like men dressed in black put down their luggage on the ground. Huasi looked down at the unconscious twins, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1972. So they're Huamin's children. They're just as cheap as their mother. Huasi glanced at the twins coldly. Boss. Should we kill them now? Huasi's subordinate made a throat-slitting gesture. Are you stupid? If we kill them now, how are we going to get the ransom? Huasi glared at his subordinate. What should we do with these two kids? Lock them in the warehouse and feed them like normal. I'll think about it and call Huamin later, ah. Then, Huasi laughed coldly and turned to leave. After a while, the twins woke up groggily after the effects of the drug wore off. Ha! Where the hell is this place? Little Bean opened her eyes and was dumbfounded. Pudding also got up groggily. I think we were kidnapped. Pudding tried to recall. She and Little Bean went to the washroom at the airport and heard a lot of noise. Then, they smelled a weird smell that smelled like smoke. After that, she didn't remember anything. Kidnapped? What the fuck? Are we in a horror movie? Little Bean didn't expect that she and her sister would be kidnapped. Calm down. Let me see where we are. Then, Pudding quickly got up and found that they were in a cold warehouse. Pudding looked around. There was only a small skylight and she couldn't reach it. Sis, are we still in Sea City? I'm not sure. Our phones and watches were taken, Pudding calmly replied. What the fuck? Then we're dead meat. Little Bean was dumbfounded. Don't panic. Since these people managed to kidnap us in front of Mommy and Daddy, they must have planned this for a long time. I suspect that they're after the ransom money. After all, the whole country knows that our family is rich, Pudding analyzed. There are so many rich people. Why would they kidnap just us? Aren't they a little too lucky? Little Bean said sarcastically. Shoo, don't be so noisy. Let me see what's going on. Then, Pudding walked to the door and banged on it loudly. Is anyone there? Someone, come. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Sure enough, the door opened in less than a minute. A man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks looked at the two of them with shifty eyes. Little brat, what are you shouting for? I'm hungry. I want to eat. Hee hee, you're still in the mood to eat. Do you know where this is? The man smiled. I don't care where it is. You have to feed us. If we starve to death together, you won't get the huge ransom. Oh. Not bad, you actually know about the ransom. The man was a little surprised. He couldn't imagine that this was said by a child who looked less than 3 years old. Bring me some food and water. Cut the crap, Pudding said coldly. I want teriyaki chicken, Little Bean added. You still want to eat drumsticks? Do you think this is a restaurant? The man was annoyed. Dahai, go and get some lunch boxes for the 2 brats. The man ordered, and the other man immediately brought 2 lunch boxes over and placed them directly at the door. Who are you? Why did you capture us? Pudding glanced at the man and asked. What does it have to do with me? Who's your boss? Do we know each other? Oh, little brat, you're still too young to get information from me. Don't worry, you'll find out soon enough. Hee, let your parents worry for a while. It'll be easier to negotiate later. Then, the man laughed and locked the door. Pudding lowered her head and walked over with the lunch boxes. Little Bean, eat first. Keep your strength up so we can find a chance to escape. Chapter 1973. Sis, can we really find a chance to escape? Little Bean was obviously surprised by Pudding's words. Even if we can't, we have to. We can't just sit here and wait for death, right? But I think Mommy and Daddy will be worried sick if they find out that we're missing. Little Bean puffed out her cheeks and stared at her sister with her big round eyes. Mommy and Daddy will definitely find us. They're so smart. Don't worry, Pudding comforted her sister. But sister, won't we be killed before Mommy and Daddy arrive? They'll kill you first. Pudding glanced at her sister indifferently. Why? Little Bean was obviously not convinced. People are afraid of fame and pigs are afraid of being fat. You're so fat, of course they'll kill you first, Pudding joked. Qin Zhao Zhao, your joke isn't funny at all. Plus, you're still joking with me at a time like this. Aren't you a bit too relaxed? Little Bean sweated. I'm just kidding. Don't be so nervous. Come, let's eat. We'll talk about it after we're full. Then, Pudding led her sister to the corner of the warehouse. The 2 of them each had a box of lunch. Holding the box in their small hands, they looked a bit sad. This is for you. Eat more. After Pudding opened the box, she saw that there were only 2 dishes. One was braised pork that looked greasy, and the other was stir-fried spinach. The food was really bad. In Little Bean's words, even the chickens, ducks, geese, and dogs at home wouldn't eat this kind of food that looked like pig food. Maybe it was because they bought it for too long, so it was a bit cold. Sis, there's only 2 pieces of meat. How about you? Little Bean looked at her sister with puppy eyes. I don't like meat. I'm sick of it. Vegetables are good. They have vitamins. Then, Little Bean began to eat with big bites. You're always so two-faced. I know you love me, but will it kill you to say it out loud? Seriously. How can you say you have a temper like Daddy? I think you're worse than Daddy. Daddy always confesses to Mommy. Little Bean complained about her sister's personality. Please, Chin Moo. Daddy and Mommy are husband and wife, and we're sisters. How can we compare? Idiot. Little Bean, the 2 sisters chatted, quarreled, and ate. Time passed quickly. The most important thing was that Little Bean wasn't that scared anymore because she was with her sister. Pudding gave all the meat to Little Bean. Afraid that Little Bean would feel cold, she sat in the corner and hugged her tightly. Tell her something funny that you saw in a book or on TV. On the other hand, Huasi was looking through the twins' phones. Ha! These two brats actually have such an advanced mobile phone. He found it a little unbelievable that the two little guys were holding the most advanced mobile phones on the market. Boss, it's almost time. Can we call for the ransom? The shifty-eyed man walked over and smiled. What's the hurry? How are they doing? Huasi asked impatiently. She's in good condition. She said she was hungry, so I brought her some food and water. There's such a thing. Ha! As expected of a child with an abnormally high IQ, to be able to remain so calm. Boss, who do you think we should call? We've been investigating for a long time and we've learned a lot. These twins are not only Huamin and Qin Chu's pets, but they're also Su Yu's favorite. Can we extort both at the same time? One of Huasi's men suggested. Chapter 1974. Don't be too greedy. I'm here for revenge. The ransom isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is to take back what belongs to me. I won't let those bastards, Huasiqian and Huamin, off the hook. So, this time, we're not only after the money, we're after them as well. Huamin is easy to deal with. He'll definitely come because the kids are here. But Huasiqian, it's not easy to deal with him. He's too cautious. There's no way we can make a move on him. The subordinate frowned. Huasi smiled sinisterly. Don't worry. I have a way to deal with Huasiqian. I'll make sure he doesn't put up a fight. Time passed by. Before they even reached home, the twins were lost at the airport. This was a huge blow to Huamin and Qin Chu. Huamin didn't tell Jixin and the others because he didn't want his mother and brother to worry. In the hospital, she was in a daze. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. Mian, you can't solve the problem like this. You have to pull yourself together. Su Yu rarely had the patience to comfort someone. I can't pull myself together. I only know that if anything happens to my daughters, I'll kill myself immediately. Huamin's thoughts were extreme. She blamed herself. Last night, before she came back to China, she taught the two kids a lesson in Los Angeles. She even beat Little Bean 10 times. Although she thought it was too harsh, she taught them a lot. Who knew that the twins would suddenly disappear as soon as she came back? Even if she wanted to apologize to Little Bean and Pudding, it was too late. Su Yu, where do you think they're going? They're only 3 years old. What if those bad guys go crazy? This isn't a last-minute plan. They must have planned this for a long time. I'm so scared. I'll give them all the money they want. But I'm really, really scared that they'll hurt my kids. Tell me, what should I do? Huamin was extremely emotional. She was extremely unstable as she cried. Su Yu felt nothing but heartache. Mian, calm down. Now's not the time to think. The kids will be fine. They wouldn't just want to hurt the twins. They'll definitely ask for ransom. We'll give them whatever they want. Even if we don't have the money, we'll go out and borrow it. We'll agree to whatever they want as long as they don't hurt the kids. Where's my husband? I need to call him. No, I need to ask him how the investigation is going. I have to find them as soon as possible. The two of them are afraid of the dark and the cold. Huamin started crying again. At this moment, she was as weak as a child. She was no longer as strong and calm as before. Perhaps all women would have a fragile heart after becoming mothers, especially when it came to children. Seeing that Qin Chu had left for a while, Huamin excitedly picked up his phone and dialed Qin Chu's number. Hubby, where are you? I'm at the city bureau. Chin Chu's voice sounded exhausted, and he did not feel optimistic. Hua Min felt a chill in his heart. Do you have any news? Did you find any leads? Soon. Don't worry, honey. Just focus on recovering. The kids will be fine. Gao Ran and I have been investigating. We've already found something. Don't worry, leave it to me. Chin Chu was extremely worried about Hua Min. What leads did you find? I want to know. Honey, you have to believe me, I want to know. Tell me now. Hua Min was anxious. Finally, Chin Chu sighed slightly. The person who kidnapped the kids is most likely Hua Min. Chin Chu thought about it and decided not to hide this from Hua Min. Hua Si. He's back. Hua Min was slightly surprised. It had been a long time since he heard this name. It had been more than 4 years. Chapter 1975. Yeah, he's back. He changed his name and entered the country secretly. That's why we didn't find out. Chin Chu hated himself for being so careless. He didn't think that Hua Xiqian would dare to come back. After all, Hua Xiqian wanted to kill them. He also didn't think that Hua Xiqian would come back to take revenge on Hua Xiqian. Instead, he kidnapped their children. If it's Hua Si, then he's definitely going to take revenge on me. Hua Min calmed down when he heard about Hua Si. Don't worry, honey. Hua Si is simple-minded and won't amount to much. He just wants money. We'll give it to him as long as he doesn't hurt Pudding and Little Bean. Chin Chu was afraid that Hua Min would get agitated. I got it. Are you feeling better? Chin Chu asked with concern. I'm much better. Don't worry about me. Finding the kids is more important. Okay. Give the phone to Suyu. Chin Chu said confidently. Okay. Then, Hua Min handed the phone to Suyu. Hey, it's me. Suyu felt weird talking to Chin Chu. After all, they were love rivals. Please keep an eye on Hua Mian for me. I have a feeling that Hua Si will call her or me to ask for the ransom. I'm afraid that Hua Mian will be too impulsive and take the ransom herself. It's too dangerous. After all, Hua Xiqian doesn't just want the money, he wants revenge as well. So please keep an eye on her and call me immediately if anything happens. No problem. Don't worry. Suyu nodded. After hanging up, Hua Min asked Suyu, what did my husband say to you? Oh, he told me to take good care of you at the hospital. You're not in good health, so you have to be careful. You just came back and you're still jet-lagged. You need to rest. Don't tire yourself out when the kids come back. Really? Hua Min obviously didn't believe him. Of course. When have I ever lied to you? Suyu felt a little guilty. I'm a little hungry. Go buy me something to eat, Hua Min suddenly said. What do you want to eat? I can get someone to buy it. You don't have to go down personally, it's too troublesome. Seeing that Suyu didn't fall for it, Hua Min didn't dare to say anything more. In the municipal bureau, Chin Chu and Gao Ran, as well as many policemen, started to investigate all kinds of things, but the scope was too big, and it was really difficult to find in a short time. Who do you think Hua Si would call to ask for the ransom? Gao Ran looked at Chin Chu and asked. It's probably Mian. Because he wants revenge. Gao Ran frowned. Chin Chu nodded, he was very worried. Then do you think Hua Xiqian will be dragged into this as well? Gao Ran analyzed. Chin Chu didn't say anything, he seemed to be thinking about something. In the hospital, time ticked by slowly. Huamin kept staring at her phone, and Suyu also noticed that she was staring at her phone. I'm going to the washroom, you're not going to follow me, are you? Huamin stood up and glanced at Suyu. Of course not, do I look like such a perverted person? Huamin discreetly held onto her phone and hid her earphones in her palm. Then, she stood up and went to the washroom in the suite. Suyu was a little worried, so he waited for her at the door, afraid that she was hiding something from him. Huamin sat on the toilet and stared at her phone screen. In less than 3 minutes, as expected, it was a call from a number that started with 1009. Because she had her earphones on, there was no sound. Huamin picked up the call and put on her earphones. Huamin, long time no see. Huamin's proud voice came through, and Huamin felt a chill in her heart. Huamin, where are my daughters? Huamin's voice was very soft, but because it was close to the earphones, Huamin could definitely hear it. Suyu, who was guarding the door, couldn't hear because the door was blocking her. Chapter 1976. Don't worry. They're in my hands. Huasi smiled proudly. Please don't hurt them. Come at me. Huamin was extremely nervous. Don't worry. This time. I'm here for you. How much do you want? I'll give you everything. But you have to promise me that you won't hurt a single hair on my daughters. Otherwise, I won't let you off the hook, Huamin threatened. You better understand the situation. They're in my hands now and I have the upper hand. You don't have the right to threaten me or negotiate with me. I don't know if you'll hurt their hair, but I do know that if you don't do as I say, they'll become 2 corpses. Huasi threatened. Huasi, I beg you. Don't do that. They're still young and innocent. They don't know anything. If you have a grudge against me, you can do whatever you want to me. I, Huamin, will let you do whatever you want to me. Good. Since you're willing to go all out, I'm relieved. Huamin's impatience was exactly what Huasi wanted. How much money do you want? I'll get someone to prepare it right now. Huamin was extremely anxious. He couldn't wait to get the money to ransom his daughters. Do you think the grudge between us can be resolved with money? Huasi said viciously. Then what do you want? In order not to let Suyu hear them, Huamian lowered her voice. I want you to come here, alone. You can't call the police or tell Qin Chu. You can't alert anyone. If I come, will you let my daughters go? Huamin asked tentatively. Of course. We'll exchange hostages, Huasi requested. That's fine. No problem. When? You can leave now. I'll let you know. Wait for my call. No. You can't call me. If I disappear, my husband will check my phone and listen to my call records. So, you better think of something else. Huamin considered the possibility that he was being followed. He was afraid that if he angered Huasi, the children would be in danger. Huamin took Huasi's advice seriously. Thinking that it made sense, he nodded and immediately said, Then, you go out immediately and go to the intersection of Tongshan Street. There will be a black van there, and someone will be waiting for you there. Just get in the car. Remember, don't expose your whereabouts, or I won't show mercy to your child. Don't hurt them. I'll do as you say. However, you must also guarantee that you'll release them once I'm there. We'll talk when you get here. I told you that you have no right to negotiate with me. Then, Huasi hung up the phone. When Huamin came out, he hid his earphones and walked out casually with his phone in his hand. You don't look well. Are you okay? Suyu stepped forward to help her. I'm fine. Huamin shook his head. As soon as she finished speaking, she closed her eyes and fainted. Luckily, Suyu was by her side. Otherwise, she would have been lying on the ground. Suyu was scared out of his wits. He picked up Hwamin and placed her on the bed. Then, he opened the door and ran out to call the doctor. Doctor, doctor. Someone, she fainted. Suyu saw that Hwamin had fainted and immediately ran out to call for help. He didn't even think about anything else. The moment Suyu turned around, Hwamin opened her eyes, got up from the ground, opened the door, and ran out. Chapter 1977. Hwamin was running in the opposite direction of Suyu, which was the exit. When Suyu came back with the doctor, he found that Hwamin was gone. He was dumbfounded and realized that he had fallen into a trap. So, he immediately picked up his phone and called Chin-Chu. Chin-Chu, what is it? Hwamin. For the first time, Suyu felt guilty and didn't dare to say it out loud. What happened to her? Hearing Suyu's hesitation, Chin-Chu became even more nervous. She pretended to faint and I was so scared that I went to get the doctor. When I came back, she was gone, Suyu said anxiously. Gone. How is that possible? Then, did you hear her receive any suspicious calls? Chin-Chu suspected that Hwamin was contacted by Hwasi. I didn't receive any calls, but what? But before she fainted, she went to the washroom. Because of the soundproofing, I'm not sure if she picked up the call or not. She was in the washroom for about 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, I understand. After Chin-Chu hung up, Suyu was also very anxious. He began to call around and use his connections, trying to find out more about Hwamin and the kids. At this time, Chin-Ning called. Suyu didn't recognize Chin-Ning's number. When he saw that it was an American call, he slightly hesitated. Then, he picked it up. Hello. Suyu. Chin-Ning asked uncertainly. It's me, who is this? Hello, I'm Chin-Ning. Chin-Ning. Oh. I remember now. Chin-Chu's sister. Suyu suddenly realized. Yeah, it's me. I looked at the time and my brother's family should have landed safely. I video called Pudding and Little Bean, but they didn't pick up. Then I called my sister-in-law, but she didn't pick up. I called my brother, but he didn't pick up either. I started to panic. Did something happen? How do you know my number? Suyu felt a little strange. She was surprised that Chin-Ning could call Suyu directly. When Little Bean and Pudding were here, they often talked about it. Your number is easy to remember, so I wrote it down. I hope I didn't disturb you. Not really, but there's a bit of trouble right now. What trouble? Did something happen to them? Chin-Ning's heart skipped a beat. Chin-Chu didn't pick up Chin-Ning's call because he wasn't in the mood to explain to her. He also didn't want her to worry. Suyu also knew, but this kind of thing couldn't be kept a secret for long. Something did happen. Let me tell you. You have to stay calm and promise not to tell the other members of your family, especially the elders. They'll be worried. Okay, go ahead. The twins, they're missing, Suyu told Chin-Ning the truth. Missing? Then, what does that mean? Chin-Ning didn't understand at first. It means, they've been kidnapped. Maybe. Kidnapped. Hearing this word, Chin-Ning's mind went blank. How can that be? My brother has always been very careful. He has reliable bodyguards everywhere he goes. How can someone kidnap the twins right under his nose? It's unbelievable. Obviously, the kidnapper planned this. No matter how well your brother prepared, there's always a flaw. Right now, it's not about whether your brother is careful or not. The problem is, we're all looking for the twins. It's very urgent. Then my sister-in-law must be worried sick. As a mother, she must be the most upset, Qin Ning said as she cried. Your sister-in-law just disappeared too, Suyu said intermittently. What? Qin Ning couldn't accept this. Your brother told me to keep an eye on her, but she sent me away. She probably received a call from the kidnapper and went to save the twins. Oh my God, my sister-in-law is a weak woman. How can she save the twins by herself? How can she be so stupid? For the first time, Qin Ning felt that her highly intelligent sister-in-law was so irrational. Chapter 1978. Mian isn't usually this impulsive. It's just that, she gets really emotional when it comes to her children. Of course. Every mother has the instinct to protect their children. It's the halo of motherly love. Qin Ning sobbed quietly. Don't cry and don't worry. Your brother and I have already tried our best to find them. It won't take long. Do you know who they are? Qin Ning asked. I heard it's Huasi, one of your sister-in-law's enemies. It looks like things aren't looking good. It's okay if they're after a ransom, but I'm afraid they're after revenge. Suyu. I heard that your family is very powerful. Please save the twins and my sister-in-law. You can't let anything happen to them, okay? Qin Ning cried and begged Suyu, don't worry. Even if you didn't ask, I would have done my best. You mean a lot to the twins. You're very important to them, you're second only to my brother, their biological father. Do you know what happened in Los Angeles this time? What? The twins went out alone to buy you a present. They ditched me and all the bodyguards, avoided all the surveillance cameras, and disappeared for 4 hours. We were scared out of our wits. They wanted to get rid of the adults and go out alone to buy you a present. When my sister-in-law found out, she was furious and taught them a lesson. She even hit Little Bean. Suyu didn't say anything after hearing this, but he felt really bad. The present should still be in the luggage. It's a limited edition Versace belt. Pudding said you like this brand. These two kids. Suyu choked up. When we were in the States, Pudding and Little Bean told me every day how good their handsome Sue is and how much he loves them, just like their daddy. So, I've been influenced by what I've seen and heard. I think kids are the most innocent and won't lie. They know who's really good to them, and that's why they love you so much. Yeah. I love them very much too. Thinking about how they spent time together for the past 3 years, Suyu had been entangled with them since the moment they were carried out of the delivery room. Just like Huamin, he felt the joy of being a parent as he watched the two little guys grow up day by day. Now that the child was gone, he was just as worried as Qin Chu and Huamin. So, you have to save them. I beg you, Suyu. I beg you. Perhaps Qin Ning was influenced by the twins, or perhaps she knew that Suyu had a military background, so she felt that he was very powerful and omnipotent. She kept begging Suyu to save her. In fact, Suyu was more anxious than anyone else. I will. I will definitely save them. Don't worry. Then I'll book a flight back to China right now. Then, before Suyu could respond, Qin Ning hung up. Suyu raised his hand and wiped the corner of his eyes. There were actually wet tears. The twins had caused so much trouble just to buy him a gift. No wonder Huamin kept blaming himself for being too fierce to them. These two kids were really, inside the municipal bureau. Hearing that Huamin was missing, Qin Chu immediately asked Gao Ran to investigate Huamin's phone records. Sure enough, he heard the conversation between her and Huasi. After hearing the conversation, Chin Chu's expression became even more serious. He asked Huamin to go alone. He must be up to no good. She can't go. Huamin is really stupid. Gao Ran regretted. For the children, she will definitely go. I know her. Chin Chu was surprisingly calm. Did you find out where Huasi's voice came from? Chin Chu turned around and looked at the young policeman behind him. Chapter 1979. No, the enemy used an anti-tracking device to hide their departure point. This doesn't seem like Huasi's style. It seems like he came back with a master, Gao Ran analyzed. They all grew up together. Although they didn't know Huasiqian well, they could tell from his past actions that he was a brainless and impulsive person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been killed so easily by Huasiqian. It didn't seem like Huasi's style to be so cautious. If he had a brain, he wouldn't have been in such a sorry state when Huasiqian played him, Chin Chu said faintly. Do you think Shenjiani came back too? Gao Ran guessed. It's hard to say. We don't have any information on her entering the country. Boss, we found it. Mrs. Qin did go to the intersection of Tongshen Street and got into the black van. According to Huamin's phone records, they found out that she did go to that place. Where did the van go? Chin Chu and Gao Ran asked in unison. Not long after it got on the highway, it got off at a small intersection. There are no surveillance cameras there because it's a rural area. There are many villages. We can't be sure where it went. Could Huasi be hiding in that village? Gao Ran analyzed in confusion. Chin Chu shook his head. No, Huasi is probably just trying to confuse us. The van went there to attract our attention. The final location wouldn't be there. What do we do now? Gao Ran was also panicking because the clues they found were all useless. We still have to check the abandoned factory in the western suburbs and the slums in the northern suburbs. We have to find Huasi even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Chin Chu clenched his fists tightly. He was more than sad at this moment. His wife and children were in the hands of the enemy. No one was sadder than him. However, he had to force himself to calm down and think of the best way to save them. Time ticked by. For Chin Chu and Su Yu, it was an extremely long torment. Not long after, Su Yu also went to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Together with Gao Ran and Chin Chu, he took command and deployed the plan. At the same time, in an abandoned factory in the suburbs. Help! Help! Pudding yelled. Brat, what's the matter? I need to go to the toilet. Just pee inside, the kidnappers said perfunctorily. No, I want to poop, not pee. Then poop inside. How can that be? It's so dirty and smelly. I don't want to eat or sleep. Pudding complained. Those people were playing cards, and they were getting a headache from all the noise. Dahai, go and take that brat outside to take a dump. Watch him closely. Okay, don't worry. She can't run away. The man called Dahai got up, opened the door, and walked out with Pudding. Little Bean, on the other hand, sat inside quietly. Her face was very calm. After Pudding followed the man out, she immediately looked around vigilantly. It was a very deserted factory. There were weeds all around, and there were no residents at all. Okay, don't go. Just squat there. The man pointed at an empty space. Turn your face away. Hey, brat. Do you think I'll take advantage of you? Men and women are different. Turn your head away. Don't do something as dirty as peeking at girls using the toilet. Pudding pointed at him with her hands on her hips. The man didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 1980. Okay. Even if I turn around, you won't run away. The man knew that Pudding wouldn't run away. That's for sure. I won't leave my sister behind and run away. What a smart kid. You're so logical. The man admired the 3-year-old kid from the bottom of his heart. When Pudding squatted down to use the bathroom, she was still looking around, trying to find a breakthrough. At the same time, she asked, "Hey, blockhead, why didn't you be a good person? Why did you become a kidnapper?" Blockhead? Me? The man named Dahai froze. Of course. There's only the two of us here. If it wasn't you, who else would I be talking about? Pudding said proudly. The man was confused by Pudding's words. What? Is my question that hard to answer? It's no use being a good person. I used to want to be a good person, but in the end, I was still looked down upon. I fucking understand this society. No matter what you do, people don't care about the process, they care about the result. As long as you have money, even if you steal or rob, people will look up to you. If you don't have money, no matter how noble or great you are, it's useless. In this day and age, if Lei Feng was still alive, he would be called an idiot. The man was probably distressed as well, so he complained to Pudding all at once. But, you know what? Good and evil will always be rewarded. The 3-character classic says that people are born good. I believe that you're a good person and wouldn't walk down this path for no reason. You must be forced by life, right? Forced by life. Yes. I guess so. If I had a choice, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Blockhead, you just need money. I think you're just a small fry here. Even if you get the ransom from my dad, you won't get much of it. The majority will go to your boss. So, do you want to work with me? Work with you? Don't mess around. The man was about to turn around. Don't look back. If I expose myself, I'll be very angry, Pudding reminded him seriously. Okay. I won't look back. You won't expose yourself. Don't beat me up. The man suddenly realized that this child was very funny. Although he was small, he always spoke in a mature and experienced tone. So, do you want to work together? Pudding asked calmly. How to cooperate? The man obviously just wants to tease her. You find a chance to let us go, and I'll ask my daddy to give you a lot of money. For example, you can only get 2 million for kidnapping us here, but I can ask my daddy to give you 10 times more. Just for you alone, 20 million. That's a good deal, right? It's a good deal. Sounds good. The blockhead smiled. If you let us go, my dad will be grateful to you. Not only will he not call the police, but he will also let you take the money with a clear conscience. You can rest easy. If you got the money by kidnapping us, you will always be the most wanted criminal. Even if you have the money, you can only live a sneaky life. In comparison, I believe I don't need to say more, you will understand which one you want. Pudding calmly analyzed the current situation for him. The man actually realized that this little brat's words made a lot of sense. If he had a choice, who would want to be a wanted criminal who hid from place to place? Seeing that he was a little shaken, Pudding struck while the iron was hot and said, "Technology is so advanced now, it's very easy for the police to catch people. Actually, kidnapping is a serious crime. If the nature of the crime is bad, you will be locked up for decades. You don't look very old, so why waste your youth in prison? You must have parents and elders who miss you. Don't let them worry about you. Shut up, little brat. Stop talking. Pudding's words touched the man's heart. He realized that he couldn't take it anymore. Chapter 1981. You don't want me to say it because I know what's on your mind, right? No, it's not what you're saying. I finally have a chance to be alone with you. If it were anyone else, I definitely wouldn't say this to you. Do you know why I chose you? Pudding pressed. Why? Because out of all of you, you're the only one who seems to have a conscience. There's no way to save those people. Their hearts have been invaded by demons. Sometimes, heaven and hell can be decided in an instant. The most important thing is how you choose. You're not a smart person. Maybe you're not that smart, but you're definitely not a crazy person. You're involved in this because you need money, right? How do you know I need money? The man named Dahai was indeed dumbfounded. He didn't think that the child would guess what was on his mind. He was indeed the one with the worst family background. He was also the one who needed money the most. It was also his first time doing something like this. Those people all took care of his meals. Not only were they petty thieves, but they were also involved in child trafficking. One of them was from his hometown. When he found him, he said that he was responsible for taking care of 2 children. After he was done, he would give him 200,000 yuan. He thought it was feasible. Moreover, his family was indeed short of money. His mother was hospitalized because of a brain hemorrhage, and he had to scrape together the money to pay for it. Later, even his relatives and friends didn't want to help him because they thought he didn't have the ability to pay them back. He told his father that he wanted to work and think of a way out. However, as soon as he entered the city, he boarded a pirate ship. At first, he thought that it wouldn't be difficult to catch 2 children. Later, he realized that the money wasn't that easy to get. From what he heard, the children's parents were very influential. This was extremely dangerous. If he was caught by the police, he would be dead. If he was caught by the children's parents, he would also be dead. However, there was no turning back. He could only bite the bullet and do it. Now that Pudding's words hit the nail on the head, he began to waver. Because if you weren't forced into a corner, you wouldn't do something like this. Looking at you, I know that your parents are honest people. You're the same, big dummy. You're not a bad person. Pudding repeatedly brainwashed the man named C, and the effect was obvious. My parents are indeed simple and kind people. They've been farming in the mountains and have never seen the world. They've never been to a KTV. Every penny they earn is hard-earned money, but I've embarrassed them. I didn't even have enough money to treat my mother. I'm really a good-for-nothing. What's wrong with your mother? Pudding caught the main point of the question again. Cerebral hemorrhage. It's quite serious. He's still in the hospital in the county. Unfortunately, we don't have any money, so we won't be able to stay for long. That's why I'm willing to do anything. When he said that, Dahai was filled with regret. He hugged his head and squatted on the ground. Pudding slowly got up and pulled up her pants. She walked over. Actually, she didn't want to poop at all. She just wanted to take the opportunity to see the situation outside and find a breakthrough. She placed her little hand on Dahai's shoulder. Listen to me, blockhead. Cerebral hemorrhage isn't a serious illness. My mommy is an outstanding doctor. My mommy was the one who operated on my grandfather when he was so seriously ill. Really? Your mother is a doctor. What a coincidence. Dahai turned around. Chapter 1982. Yeah, he's a famous doctor at Southside. You can ask around if you don't believe me. Also, my dad graduated from Harvard Medical School, the best university in the world. He specializes in neurosurgery. I think your mom's illness won't be a problem in their hands. They're amazing. Really? Don't lie to me. Don't worry. Although I'm a kid, I know I can't lie. If you can find a chance to let us go, I'll ask my parents to treat your mom's illness. I'll also give you a lot of money so that you won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your lives. Dahai was in a difficult position when he heard that Pudding would let them go. I've said what I need to say. I won't force you. You can weigh the pros and cons. Pudding saw that the time was right and didn't want to say too much. She believed that a normal person would make a clear choice. You're right, but the problem isn't that simple. There are so many people here and they're all outlaws. Even if I let you go, I won't have the chance. I'm afraid that before I let you go, the plan will be exposed and we'll all be finished. As soon as Dahai said this, footsteps came from inside. Pudding immediately let go of his hand and stepped back. You've been taking a dump for so long. What are you waiting for? The monkey-faced man walked out and looked at them impatiently. Kids have diarrhea. Dahai smiled. Are you done? Hurry up and bring them in. Big Brother E might come. If anything goes wrong, you'll be held responsible. I know. Dahai immediately picked Pudding up and walked inside. Pudding didn't speak on the way. Indeed, Dahai was convinced by her words. However, he didn't have the power to let them go. Those people were all there. Unless he sent them away. But that wasn't possible. Pudding was troubled. She lowered her head and didn't speak. She was thinking about something else. When they returned to the warehouse, she immediately ran over. Sis, how was it? What's the situation? This is an abandoned factory. There are no people around. It's desolate and covered in weeds. Even if we escape, it'll be difficult. But I'm sure that we haven't left Sea City. That's much easier. I'm sure Daddy will find us. How are you so sure that we're still in the city? Little Bean was surprised. Because I saw the TV tower. Although it's far away, I can't be wrong. It's the most iconic TV tower here. Perfect. As long as we don't leave this place, the chances of Daddy and Mommy finding us are very high. Sis, you're so smart. Little Bean looked at Pudding with admiration. I wanted to turn that big blockhead over to my side, but, how is it? It didn't work. Little Bean was curious. Well, you can say that. I was too naive. Even if he wants to help us, he doesn't have the ability to do so. The one who really has the final say here is that monkey-faced man, but he's definitely a fugitive, and he won't listen to us. Fugitives, oh my God, then, will they kill us? Killing the hostage. Sis, I'm so scared. Little Bean started to lose her composure again. They won't. Don't worry. At least, before they get the ransom, we won't be in any danger, Pudding said with certainty. I really don't know which bastard kidnapped us. Fuck, when I get out, I'm going to chop him into pieces. Little Bean was so angry that she pouted and cursed. Inside another factory in the suburbs, Big Brother E. Huamin is here, one of his subordinates reported. Huasi slowly stood up from his chair. Chapter 1983. Bring her in. Huasi was restless as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. When Huamin was brought in, she was wearing an eye mask. Ever since she got into the van, her mouth was gagged and she had to wear an eye mask. It seemed like Huasi was a lot more cautious than before. Then, after many twists and turns, they walked through many places and seemed to have passed through many small paths before they finally reached their destination. Huamin almost got carsick from the bumpy ride. Since she didn't have time to change her clothes when she got off the plane, Huamin was still wearing summer clothes. She was wearing the same clothes she wore in Hawaii. It was a light blue long-sleeved shirt with an A-line skirt that went past her knees. She looked elegant and smart. Her hands were clean and she didn't have any jewelry on her. Huamin was a very low-key person. She didn't show off her wealth and she wouldn't wear branded clothes on the streets. Not many people would think that she was the young president of GK who had been in charge of the company for 3 years. "Take off her eye mask," Huasi ordered. Then, one of his subordinates pulled off Huamin's eye mask. She looked up and her vision gradually became clearer. Huasi walked over to her and removed the gauze from her mouth. "Huamin, you didn't expect me to come back, did you? It's really you." Huamin glanced at Huasi's face indifferently. They hadn't seen each other for 4 years and he had changed a lot. His facial features were much more mature and much older. His skin had also turned dark, and there were some scars of various sizes on his face that were not very obvious. Huasi was wearing a black leather jacket. His entire body emitted a vicious aura. He looked at Huamin with eyes full of hatred. "I'm curious, why didn't you look for Huasi-chin? Why did you look for me? After all, he's your first target, right? Ha, that bastard Huasi-chin is very cautious. He's not that easy to catch. In comparison, you're easier to catch." Huasi smiled viciously. "Where are my daughters? I want to see them." "Let her have a look," Huasi instructed. One of the men walked over with a phone in his hand. Looking at the video, it should be from another place. The twins sat in the warehouse. They looked so pitiful that Huamin couldn't help but cry when he saw them. "Huasi, keep your word. I'm here now. Let my daughter go." "I'm sorry, Huamin. I never keep my word. Are you still a man?" Huamin was annoyed. "I came back this time with a clear goal. It's for revenge. So, I don't care if my methods are honorable or not. I don't care if I'm a man or not. Even if you're trying to provoke me, I won't let you go. You, your child, your husband. I'll send your entire family to hell, step by step." Then, Huamin pinched Huamin's chin. Huamian stared at Huasi with wide eyes. She realized that not only did Huasi's appearance change, but his heart also changed greatly. It could be said that he was blinded by hatred and had lost his mind. "Huasi, the children are innocent. If you want to kill them, just kill me. Don't drag them into this. I beg you." Huamin, who had always been stubborn, was still willing to beg Huasi for the children. "Don't fucking play this game with me. Do you think you're worthy of begging me? When you teamed up with that bastard Huasi-chin to attack us, why didn't you think about how innocent my mother, sister, and I were? Do you know what kind of life I've been living abroad for the past few years? Do you know how many times I almost died? Now, you have the audacity to talk to me about being innocent. What a fucking joke. Let me tell you, you're already here. You don't have a choice. Just wait for your death, ah." After hearing this, Huamin's heart sank. At the same time, inside the Hua mansion, boss, Miss Hua, and the twins were taken away by Huasi's men. Huasi-chin hadn't been in a good mood for the past few days. He basically stayed at home to recuperate. When he heard this news, he immediately sat up from his bed. When did this happen? Chapter 1984. It's been a few hours. A few hours, and you're only telling me now. Huasi-chin was about to explode from anger. "I was thinking. Boss, you're not feeling well, so I didn't want to disturb you. I'll deal with you later." Hua Xiqian got out of bed angrily and hurriedly put on his clothes. Hua Xiqian knew about Huamin's return a long time ago, but he didn't tell Huamin. He did remind her out of kindness, but Huamin didn't take it seriously. She even thought that Hua Xiqian was trying to scare her. This time, Hua Xi came back prepared and had been waiting for a long time. Hua Mian always felt like she was being followed, but at that time, Hua Mian didn't know that Hua Xi was back and didn't realize that danger was approaching. "Boss, what should we do now? I asked you guys to follow Hua Xi. Where's he? Where is he hiding now?" Hua Xiqian rubbed his temples and asked with a sour expression. "He used to live in the abandoned factory near Huairou building," the subordinate answered carefully. "What about now?" Hua Xiqian noticed that the subordinate was talking about before. "Now? I'm not sure. Our people lost track of him and his people ditched us. I think they moved to another place." "What did you say?" Hua Xiqian was really angry now. "Boss, it's not our fault. Hua Xi's people are too cunning. They seem to have noticed that we were following them, so they played a game of cat and mouse with us. Now that they've ditched us, they must have found another place to hide. So, we can't find Hua Xi now, right?" Hua Xiqian asked seriously. "Yes, boss." As soon as the subordinate finished speaking, Hua Xiqian stood up and slapped him so hard that he saw stars. "You guys can't even deal with an idiot like Hua Xi, and you still have the nerve to say that you're my people. You're all useless." Hua Xiqian rarely lost his cool like this. "Boss. Hua Xi is different this time. He's very cautious." "Really?" The subordinate seemed to be explaining. However, Hua Xiqian wasn't in the mood to listen. "What's the situation? Do Qin Chu and Su Yu know?" "They know. They're at the Municipal Public Security Bureau and they're looking for Hua Xi." "But Miss Hua Xi, is she in danger?" Upon hearing that Hua Mian was in Hua Xi's hands, Hua Xiqian's heart sank. "I think Hua Xi will come looking for me." Hua Xiqian held on to his phone. He was almost certain that Hua Xi wouldn't let him go. After capturing Huamin, Hua Xi would come looking for him as well. Inside the abandoned factory, Huamin's hands and feet were tied up and he looked extremely haggard. Hua Xi asked someone to open the door in a dark corner and walked in. Then, he took out his phone and took a short video of Huamin. "Are you going to ask my husband for a ransom?" Huamin was exhausted. "Ransom? No, there's no rush. We have more important things to do." Then, Hua Xi sent the video to Hua Xiqian. Ding-ling, when Hua Xiqian received the video on his phone and saw Huamin in such a pitiful state, his heart ached. 1 minute later, Hua Xi called. The number was garbled so it couldn't be tracked. "Hua Xiqian. Did you see the video? How do you want to use it? Do you feel bad for her?" "Ha! Your little sister." Hua Xi's tone was vicious and mocking. "Don't touch her. What do you want? We can talk about it." Hua Xiqian was very worried about Huamin. "You seem nervous. Why? Do you love her a lot?" Hua Xi laughed. Chapter 1985. Hua Xi, there's no point in talking about this right now. Just tell me what you want. I want you to come here alone, or I'll kill Huamin right now. You don't want the ransom. Hua Xiqian was a little surprised. "You might not know, but I don't need money now. I've made a name for myself in the outside world. Compared to money, I want revenge more. I'll wait for you for an hour. If you don't come, Huamin will become a corpse. Don't touch her. I'll go." Hua Xichen didn't even think about it and immediately agreed to Hua Xi's request. It seems like I was right. You really do love her. Ha! Hua Xi laughed maniacally. How do I find you? Take your phone and go out alone. I'll send someone to find you. Remember, don't play any tricks with me. If I find out that someone is following you, I'll kill Hua Min immediately. Hua Xi found Hua Xichen's weakness. Every time Hua Min was mentioned, Hua Xi would become extremely nervous. Don't worry, I won't play any tricks. But if I find out that anything happened to Mian, you're dead meat. Hua Xichen was also full of threats. After hanging up, Hua Xichen put on his clothes and went out. Boss, where are you going? You don't have to follow me. That's all. Boss. His subordinates were still worried. Get out of my way. Are you not going to listen to me? Are you rebelling? Hua Xichen was furious. Boss, we're just worried that you'll be alone, don't worry. I watched that idiot Hua Xi grow up. He wasn't my opponent in the past and he won't be in the future. I know what I'm doing. Just stay at home and wait for my news. Oh right, is there any news from Hua Yanyan? I went to her place and found that she and her daughter were gone. She didn't go to work either. It seems like Hua Xi already made arrangements. Hua Xichen worriedly walked out the door. On the other side, in the municipal bureau. What did Shen Mingxi say? Can you contact Hua Yanyan? Qin Chu asked. Su Yuch shook his head. I just called her, but she suddenly couldn't be reached. She's not at work or at home. Even her children are missing. It seems like Hua Yanyan came prepared. Forget it. You don't have to look for her. Even if you find her, it's useless. Hua Xi and Shen Jiani ran away and left Hua Yanyan behind. That's enough to prove that she doesn't mean much to them, Qin Chu analyzed. Then are we just going to sit here and wait for death? Wait for him to call us for ransom. What if he doesn't want the money? Su Yu was a little scared. He was afraid that Hua Xi would give up everything for revenge, including money. No one is against money, right? Hua Xi will definitely call. Qin Chu was also in a bad mood. However, for the sake of the big picture, he had to stay calm. Therefore, he could only pretend to be calm. Oh right, your sister knows about this too. She said she'll be back tomorrow. Su Yu glanced at Qin Chu. How did she know? Qin Chu frowned slightly. Then, Su Yu told him about Qin Ning's call. Qin Chu didn't say anything else. Inside an abandoned factory in the suburbs, sis, hurry up. We're almost there. See, why did you bring me here? Hua Yanyan was confused. To show you something good. Something that can make us rich. Hua Xi smiled sinisterly. Chapter 1986. Hua Yanyan was still immersed in the joy of reuniting with Hua Xi. Before she could think about it, Hua Xi took her and the kids away. The kids were left in the storage room. They were playing with a big-breasted woman who had heavy makeup on and was dressed flirtatiously. Hua Xi said that he was going to show her something good. She was very curious. It wasn't until they walked into an abandoned factory that she began to feel uneasy. Big Brother E. A few men were eating lunch. When they saw Hua Xi walk in, they immediately stood up. Emichem, this is my sister. She's not an outsider, Hua Xi introduced. Hello, big sister. The hooligans casually bowed to her. Hua Yanyan was very uncomfortable. See, who are they? They're all my subordinates, Hua Xi said nonchalantly. Come, sis. I'll show you our chips. Then, Huisi led Hui Yanyan into a small storage room. When they opened the door, they saw the twins curled up in a corner eating lunch. They are. Hui Yanyan was shocked when she saw the kids. That's right. They're Huamin's twins. I've already caught them. With them in my hands, I can get as much money as I want from Qin Chu. Ha! See? How? How could you do this? Hui Yanyan looked at Huisi as if she didn't know him. She couldn't accept this. Why can't I do this? Who was the one who destroyed our family? We were a good family and Dad loved us so much. It was all because of that bastard Huamin and that bastard Huisi-chin. They plotted against us and forced Mom and I to run away. You lived a miserable life for the past few years. But now, sis. No one will bully us anymore. After Huisi came back, he didn't immediately look for Hui Yanyan. He was afraid that his whereabouts would be exposed. It was only after the twins and Huamin were captured that he sent someone to pick up Hui Yanyan and the children and leave secretly. He planned to take Hui Yanyan and leave this place after he got the ransom and got his revenge. Where is Mom? I want to see her. Hui Yanyan thought Huisi was crazy and irrational. Therefore, he wanted to see his mother and understand the current situation. Mom is still in Vietnam. She hasn't come back yet. Vietnam? Why did you go to Vietnam? Hui Yanyan was stunned. It's a long story. I'll tell you when I'm free. Let's go eat. Then, Huisi closed the door and left with Hui Yanyan. Sis. Do you know the person who came just now? The woman behind the bad guy. Little Bean whispered. I've never seen her before. I don't know who she is, but it seems like they're in the same group, Pudding analyzed. How much longer do we have to eat this bento box? It's disgusting. I want to eat fried chicken and hamburgers. Little Bean pouted and looked pitiful. Good girl. Hold on a little longer. We'll be out soon. Little Bean was a picky eater because of her gluttony. She couldn't stand eating bento boxes all the time. In the end, Pudding stood up and knocked on the door out of concern for her little sister. Someone come quickly, Dahai, go and see what the kid is yelling about. The men waved their hands impatiently and gestured for Dahai to come and see what was going on. Dahai opened the door to the storage unit and glanced at Pudding. He couldn't tell who was the older sister and who was the younger sister. It's me, big dummy, Pudding said in a low voice. What's wrong? After yesterday's incident, Dahai had obviously established an invisible revolutionary friendship with Pudding. Chapter 1987. The food is cold and disgusting. My sister can't eat it anymore. Can you give her something else? Ham is fine too. Please. Pudding put her hands together and begged pitifully. The man named Dahai saw her like this and felt sorry for her. Wait for me. After saying that, Dahai turned around and went back to the table. He took a ham and walked over. Here. Thank you, big dummy. When we get out of here, we'll repay you. Pudding smiled sweetly. Hey, let's not talk about this. Go eat. Dahai brought food and water to the twins every day. He suddenly felt that they were very cute. Especially Pudding. She was as logical as an adult. It was amazing. Pudding took the ham that Dahai gave her and went back to the corner. Sis, let's split it. I don't like meat. I'll get fat. You have it. Pudding and Little Bean declined modestly. Outside the door, several hooligans finished their meal and continued to play cards to pass the time. Dahai. What the fuck are you doing? play your cards. The monkey-faced man kicked Dahai. Oh, oh. He came back to his senses. What's wrong with you? Why are you so distracted? Brotherly, what do you think, what we're doing, isn't it a crime? Kidnapping such young children. Dahai's conscience began to feel uneasy. Hey, what's wrong? Did you find your conscience? If you're scared, then quit. That's how it is these days. The brave die of overeating while the cowardly die of starvation. Wealth comes from danger. If you don't even have the guts to do this, then you should go home and drink milk. Don't fucking stay in this world. No, what I mean is, after Big Brother E gets the money, will he let the children go? Dahai asked worriedly. You're thinking too much. We just need to get the money and be done with it. After that, whether Big Brother E kills or lets the children go has nothing to do with us. Don't fucking worry about it. Like a woman, play your cards. Dahai's heart was in a mess. He didn't want anything to happen to the twins. Whenever he thought about the bright and lively children dying here, he would feel terrible. But it didn't help, because even if he wanted to let them go, the others wouldn't agree. Meanwhile, Huasi brought Hui Yanyan back to his home. Sis, look who else I caught. Huasi pointed at the corner of the warehouse. Hui Yanyan looked up and was dumbfounded. Is that Huamin? Ha, I'm good, aren't I? She's actually very easy to catch. As long as we catch the child first, we don't have to worry that Huamin bitch won't come. See, don't you think you're being too? Before Hui Yanyan could finish speaking, a subordinate came in and reported, Huasichen is here, boss. Very good, everyone is finally here. Huasi patted Hui Yanyan's shoulder. Sis, I'll go out and take a look. You can go in and talk to that bitch Huamin. Give her a few slaps to vent your anger. Humph, she's now a piece of meat on our chopping block. Huasi thought that Hui Yanyan hated Huamin to the core. So, he left after saying that. Hui Yanyan opened the door to the warehouse with trembling hands and walked in. Huamin. She called out softly. Yanyan. Huamin looked up, his voice weak. His cheeks were red and swollen. It was obvious that he was hit. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I didn't know C was back, and I didn't know he. Hui Yanyan ran over and squatted beside Huamin, crying quietly. Don't cry. It's not your fault. I know. I just saw your children. They're locked up there too. My children. My children. Are they okay? Huamin's voice became emotional when he heard about his children. Chapter 1988. Huamin, don't worry. The kids are fine. They're not hurt. They're safe, Hui Yanyan immediately comforted him. Where are they locked up? They're in an abandoned factory on the other side. Then, where is this place? This. I don't know. When I came here, I was also brought in with a blindfold. C might be on guard against me. I think, Huamin nodded after hearing Hui Yanyan's words. Are you okay? You don't look well. I'm fine. As long as the kids are fine, I'm not worried about anything else. Don't be afraid. I'll find a way to save your kids, Hui Yanyan said sincerely as she held Huamin's hand. Thank you, Yanyan. At this moment, Huamin was extremely grateful. Don't say that. When I was bullied, you stood up for me. I'm not that heartless. Plus, I know that you and Huasichen are enemies. What happened back then wasn't your fault. You didn't cause Dad's death either. C was too stubborn. I'll slowly convince him. I won't let him hurt you guys. Right now, Huixi's head is clouded by hatred. He won't listen to you. Don't tell him so that he won't be alerted. If you have a chance to get out, please tell my husband immediately and ask him to come and save us. But I think that since Huixi brought you here, he probably won't let you out. He definitely won't give you a chance to call for help. The worst case scenario is that you don't have to worry about me at this critical moment. You have to think of a way to save my kids, okay? Huamin held Hui Yinyan's hand tightly. Don't worry. I'll do my best. I'll think of a way. I know the kids are very important to you, Hui Yanyan said to Huamin. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from behind them. Huamin gave Hui Yanyan a look, and she immediately retreated to the back vigilantly. Miss Yanyan, please come out first. Brother Yi asked me to bring this woman out. Okay. Hui Yanyan nodded. Huamian made way for the man. Then, the two men dragged Huamian out roughly. Hui Yanyan cautiously followed after her. Sis, there's nothing for you to do here. Go back to that little room and rest. Your daughter was looking for you just now. Huixi turned around and said to Hui Yanyan. See, don't go overboard. Leave some leeway for others, Hui Yanyan advised worriedly. In the past few years, she had experienced a lot, and she had seen through many things. He knew that no matter how deep the hatred was, there was no need to kill someone. Back then, Huamin stood up for Hui Yanyan, and he was willing to offend Wei Liao's little sister, Wei Ying. Many bystanders thought that Huamin was being a saint and wanted to save the woman who once gave him a hard time. However, the truth was, Huamin saw that Hui Yanyan had changed for the better and wanted to be a good person, so he wanted to give her a chance. Plus, she was a woman and it was not easy for her to raise a child. Huamin was also a mother, and he knew how it felt to be a mother. That was why he reached out to Hui Yanyan without hesitation. Who would have thought that now that the tiger had fallen from grace, Hui Yanyan's last ray of hope was really on her? It seemed like there was a saying that, a good deed begets a good deed. Back then, if Huamin had also bullied Hui Yanyan and humiliated her, her last ray of hope would have been gone. If that was the case, then the last chance of survival today would be gone. That was why it was said that a person should have a kind heart. Okay, then I'll go see the child. Hui Yanyan knew that Huixi didn't want her to be there. Therefore, she didn't force him to stay. She turned around and was brought to a small house on the other side. This was where Huixi lived. Other than him, there was also a woman. When Hui Yanyan walked in, her daughter was standing on the floor, and the woman was smoking on the bed. She had one leg crossed over the other, and she had heavy makeup on. Her hair was disheveled, and she looked very dispirited. Little girl, do you want a bite? Ha ha ha. The woman said to Hui Yanyan's daughter, and then she giggled. Chapter 1989. Hui Yanyan immediately hugged her daughter. Tian Tian, are you okay? Mommy. When the little girl saw her mother, she immediately ran into her mother's arms, looking very scared. Don't be scared, Mommy's here. Hello, big sister. When the woman saw Hui Yanyan walk in, she sat up straight and held a cigarette between her right index and middle finger. Who are you? Didn't C tell you? I'm C's lover. The woman smiled like a flower. He didn't tell me. Hui Yanyan looked at the woman cautiously. She didn't have a good impression of her. Oh, then he probably didn't have time to tell you. It's fine. I'll tell you then. C and his mommy, oh yeah, that's your mommy, ran to Vietnam and lived a miserable life. The man your mommy found was addicted to gambling all the time, but he couldn't pay off his debt with your mommy. Your little brother, oh, that C, was almost beaten to death to save your mommy. I was passing by, so I saved them and brought them to the Vietnam gang. Vietnam gang? Hui Yan was confused. It's the #1 mafia in Vietnam. Because of me, C joined the Vietnamese mafia. He worked hard and did a lot of big things, winning the boss' favor. That's why he was able to gain a foothold in the mafia. As his benefactor and lover, I won't let him go unavenged. This time, we're back to do something big. What do you want to do? Hui Yan had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. Did C not tell you? The woman narrowed her foxy eyes and looked at Hui Yan. Hui Yan held her daughter tightly and shook her head. Ha, if he didn't tell you, then just wait for the news. After this, we won't go back to Vietnam. We'll go to a new place and start over. You should be glad that C didn't forget about you all these years. He even came back to pick you up. Hui Yan felt bad when she heard this. She could tell from this woman that Hui Si had been living a hard life for the past few years. Her mother, Shinjiani's adulterer, was such a scumbag that he almost killed her and her son. Luckily, he had made it through. But this time, even if he wanted to take revenge, he should have gone after Hui Si-chin. Why did he want to capture Hui Min and the child? Hui Yan felt really uncomfortable. She held her daughter's hand and was about to go out to talk to Si. She heard the woman behind her say, "It's best if you stay here with your child. If we torture him outside, it will be very cruel. Your child won't be able to take it." After saying that, the woman picked up the purple fur coat, put it on, and walked out while swaying her butt. After hearing that, Hui Yan gave up the idea of going out. She sat in the small room with her daughter, Tian, in her arms. She was panicking and didn't know what to do. She wanted to call Shin Mingxi and ask him to tell Qin Chu to come and save Hui Min and the twins. However, when she touched her phone, she realized that someone had taken her phone away. It seemed like they were indeed on guard against her. Inside the empty factory, after Hui Si-chin was brought in, his hands and feet were tied tightly. The men shoved Hui Si-chin, who immediately fell to the ground and fell on his face. "Bastard, you're finally in my hands." Hui Si-chin cursed as he grabbed onto Hui Si-chin's collar. "Ha! Idiot, long time no see." Hui Si-chin smiled slightly. He greeted him in such a special way. "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.